Down. What's up, everybody? You are tuned into the Elks Call, your home for Edmonton Elks fan talk. My name is Scout, aka the rep from Section X, and we couldn't be more thankful to have you for this episode. If you could please go ahead and hit the like, subscribe, and favorite buttons, as your support means everything to us here at Shotgun Sports Network. Today, we are going to bring you the best of Edmonton sports media. We have a couple of those friends out there, and some of them even work for TSN or cover the team directly with pre- and post-game shows. So let's go through the list here. I mean, we started this episode, we're going to start it with Dave Jamieson, who is a major favorite. I think he was our last guest before we managed to figure out the microphone scenario around here. New studio, new problems. But we did manage to get it together for when Matthew Iwanyk joined us. And then, of course, Tom Gazzola finishes off this episode, giving us, some great insight from the sidelines. And then, of course, on the EST Labor Day bus as well. So, just a fantastic time. Now, this episode is brought to you by Royal Retros. Save 10% off by using code Shotgun Sports, all caps, no spaces. Royal Retros are the throwback kings. We love Royal Retros. We know you will too. So go check them out. That's royalretros.com and save yourself 10% off. But without further ado, let's dig into the best of Edmonton sports media on season 3 of the Elks Call.
But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the show Edmonton media royalty and former WE media man. It is Dave Jamieson. Dave, we saw you were at that last game as a spectator. How nice was it to not be on the clock?
You know what? It's and I'm going to be doing it again this Sunday. I'm a season seat holder. I'm an alumni director, but I'm a season seat holder, and it's a really cool experience to go and not have outside of what I did pregame, which was do a hot stove with the commissioner, and not have a role, and just go and look at the fans, obviously look at the game, wander the stadium that I know so well. I spent a good chunk of my life there, and kind of just absorb it. I walked all over. I took Jack Cookson, who, if your Edmonton viewers know, owns Pro-Am Sports. Fantastic place to go for your wearables and jerseys and hats and all the cool stuff. And he hadn't been in a number of years. And so I took him on a stroll and showed him the Jackie Parker room. And we went up to those new low sheets, which, by the way, if you're thinking of going to a game and you want to take your business, your family, your friends, whatever, I'm doing a plug for the Elks here. The upper deck, which I know they've closed, right? And for good reason, I support it. But they've got these new low seats under a tent in the upper deck. Man, I'm telling you, on a beautiful night, on any night, the view up there is stunning.
Yeah. It's so good, man.
The deck is the best.
It's interesting. We did get to try out the loge seats, and it was very nice in preseason because I hadn't felt like a guest in Commonwealth Stadium for so long.
Yeah, and I have never been on the Opera Bowl. I had never seen a game of the Opera Bowl, so that was the first time. It was amazing. I could see every single play. It was great.
Oh, so good.
I'm going to let you in on a little something. As somebody who spent 14 years down largely, in press boxes, but at field level, football has to be seen from up high. Yeah. To understand, when you're so close, it's just a mess of people. It's collisions. Well, you know what it is. But to get up top and look down on it, it actually makes some sense.
Oh yes, you miss a lot. I do find that you miss a lot if you're watching.
It's very cool. It's under for those who don't know and they think because you use the hockey experience. Well, I got to be up close. Actually, hockey is even better from a little further away.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it is. Like even the view at Rogers Place, it's, in my opinion, it's nicer to see the hockey game from up top. You just get a way better view, right? No brainer. Obviously we do want to see that upper bowl open at some point.
They'll get there.
They'll get there.
We'll get there.
I think so.
Well, and at least with the way that Loge is set up, you kind of have all those seats on the one side that could open up the sunny side on the east side there. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Dave, we are extremely appreciative of your time tonight. Once again, Elks fans, if you are watching, make sure you throw your questions into the herd chat. We will get them answered near the end of the segment. Let's kick this off.
Mhm.
Question number one here, Dave. Last time we talked to you, you were handling some double E duties for the 75th season. Can
That's
you
right.
tell us about your experience last year with the Elks?
Oh, it was fantastic. So, for those who don't know who the old guy is on their screen right now, I was there from 98 to 2012 as director of communications and then a vice president of communications and marketing and broadcast. And so, people, the media guy, but I did the marketing campaigns, and as super fan always reminds me, you're the guy that brought back the fridge magnets. Yes, that was one of the things I did. And then last year went back to co-chair the 75 seasons committee with Evan Dom, and that meant writing and largely the dinner and co-hosting the annual dinner, which was the biggest I've ever had. And it was part of the 75 season celebration, which was the biggest reunion in club history. I mean, we brought everyone in, and I know you guys have talked about it, Warren Moon and Ricky Ray and Michael Riley and on and on and on. And it was like a galaxy of Eskimo and Elks players from the past. And we celebrated each decade. We had representatives of families from the 50s. And so in video and on stage, we did that. And, I did the hot stoves and talked to Warren and Hugh Campbell. And, I thought we did a really nice job of capturing the history, putting our arms around, at that point, 75 seasons of Double E football. And then, we had an event, obviously game day, which I was involved in. And we had a luncheon for the, it was great work and tremendous amount of fun. And it brought me back to a world I know well and am very comfortable in. And then as that was wrapping up, they had a departure, and Rick Lawlisher, who was the interim president at the time, he said, would you like to step in? And so I was there for 7 months as the interim director of tickets and service, an area that I hadn't worked in previously, but I, could draw on my experience and knowledge of the stadium and the fan base. And so that was a real treat as well, because I got to learn another part of the business. And I'll tell you, my key takeaway is selling tickets is very hard. It's a hard, and this is nothing about, yes, we know the Elks have had difficult years. And last year was also a tough year. But anyone who thinks that the dollars just roll in, people say, well, are you selling a ticket today? The question really should be, are people buying what you're selling?
Yeah.
And that is when you're new or trying to figure out what that world looks like. Even when I was there the first time, we had 25,000 season seat holders. That was sort of our but that was our base.
Right.
And so you could get to 35,000, not easily, but and then to obviously, and I was there for a couple of 60,000 plus and change games. Special things have to happen, where fans go, I need to be at this event, and they make it 60,000 or they make it 45,000 or whatever. And sometimes you're in control of that messaging and that sort of spark that happens, and sometimes it happens organically. And we were a good team, or a great team, for a lot of the time I was there. This is a franchise, and we don't necessarily have to go through all of how they got to where they are, but it's hard work. And I know they've got a good team in place now with committed ownership that I think I believe, going to be patient, because they're going to need patience. It takes time to get it back, and they may not get back to the best of days, because the city has changed, the market has changed, but I think they can get back to a place where the crowds are robust, and both the organization and the fan base can feel good about it.
Well, and I mean, the other thing that the old Eskimos didn't have was an Edmonton Stingers, an Edmonton Riverhawks playing, on the same nights.
But I will say, Scout, we did have the Edmonton Trappers, and we owned them.
Yes.
And we, but you're now, and you guys know this, I mean, far better than I, you're competing against this. You could stay home and get so much more than you could before.
Mhm.
And you don't have to venture out. And so, the Oilers just went to the Stanley Cup for the second straight year. They're out selling their season seat mini pack starting tomorrow.
Yeah.
They've got to work at it too. The money doesn't just walk in.
Mhm.
That you're right.
So but I'm not suggesting you're entirely wrong in what you just said there, but and I'm glad you referenced the Riverhawks. I mean, that is a one of the great Edmonton sports stories of recent years, is that how they've been able to carve out a real nice space for themselves in the summer and give people a real viable option.
Yeah.
So you got to work hard, man. It's hard work.
It's hard work, and I mean, the Riverhawks have found a little bit of that magic where it's a lot more than just a game, right?
Yes.
And we've talked about this with the Double E before
Mhm.
as well, right? I think we talked about it with you on the last episode. They had to find a way to get back there, and I think we do have a question about that, so I won't dig into it too much.
Sure.
Yet.
Yeah, you're jumping the gun.
Yeah, jumping the gun.
But let's go back as to what you're currently doing. We also know that you've been assisting EST with morning host duties, among other roles.
Yes.
So what has it been like being a media gun for hire at Edmonton?
Oh, media gun for hire. Well, you're very kind. It's what I am. It's I try to imagine me as and when I last did EST, was it last week or week before? Anyhow, someone said, "Hey," using a hockey term, Jamieson should be put on a PTO, a professional tryout, and see if he can earn a spot on the roster. Well, that's very kind, and we had a lot of fun, and I have really fond memories of my time at TSN 1260. All of the guys at EST are my friends. I cheer for them loudly, to do well, and I'm amazed at what they've done. They're not even 2 years old yet. So a gun for hire, I laugh at that because I think it's what I've called, I think more properly, is holiday relief. Is people need to get away and they go, okay, we trust this guy. He won't, entirely screw it up. And then we'll come back and we'll still have our business.
I like that. Well, that just shows that you're reliable. That shows that.
Yeah, I show up. I show up at 5 a.m. Yeah.
Media glue.
Yes.
Glue.
Yeah, there you go. Yes.
I know, but very necessary glue. Also, like Gorilla Glue or some really strong stuff. But outside of media, what have you been up to?
Well, as of April 1st, I have been serving as the interim executive director at Brain Care Center. And it's a little ironic for me, all those years working at the big stadium across the street. I'm now directly across from Gate 9 in the Buchanan Center, which is the home, people would know it as Parkinson, Alberta, and Parkinson Association of Alberta. And I'm with Brain Care Center. I used to be a board member for 6 years and was the chair of the board for 4 of the 6 years. And so they made a decision to make a change in the executive director role, and the board reached out to me. I was off the board, but still connected to the organization, and they asked me if I would jump in. And so I've been there, and we're looking for a permanent executive director, someone that can be in the role, we hope, for several years and really change the fortunes of the organization. But Brain Care has been around in different forms. Brain Care Center, I should say, has been around, and there have been previous iterations. And the work we do is simple but hard. It's necessary work. Is we provide services and counseling and programs to those who have suffered an acquired brain injury. And an acquired brain injury is anything after birth. And so we work with adults 18 plus who have, and when I say work, it could be navigating the social support networks, applying for AISH, or there's a myriad of things. When you've suffered a brain injury, whether it's a stroke or a concussion or however it occurred, you have fundamentally changed your wiring, for lack of a better term. And you may not look different outwardly, but inwardly, it's a profound change for an individual, and by extension, the their network, their caregivers, their family, their friends. Those relationships change now because that person has suffered a brain injury. And as we know, you only get one brain. They are hard to repair, sometimes impossible. And so you have to, we say, we help people defy limitations, and that's kind of what we do,
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
thank you. It's really, and the group that is there now are quite amazing. I will say that, I sat on that board for 6 years. I thought I knew the depth of the work, but until you're in there day to day and dealing with, all sorts of things that you deal with in a not-for-profit, it's humbling, to be quite frank. And I have been humbled many times in the short time I've been there in terms of what I don't know. And, but I've learned a lot, and, it'll be an experience that, I'm going to look back on fondly because of the people I've met and what I've witnessed. And, when you come into a situation like this, you just hope you leave it better than you found it. And I hope, or I trust that that's going to be the case.
And you're, in my opinion, like, just based on that last sentence there, I mean, it seems like you're the right guy to do that and to help fill the gaps, bridge the gaps, right? And I mean, obviously, if you really wanted it, you would be throwing your name in the hat, but you recognize that maybe this isn't something you're going to do for several years. So
and Scout, with that, it's also an acknowledgement of where I'm at in my life. And we've talked about this situation. I mean, my situation, it's like all of us, I face health challenges. I'll be 4 years. I say 4 years with cancer as of my diagnosis was June 5th of 2021, and I'm going for my 4-year scan. I never know if I should say I'm celebrating a 4-year PET scan or I'm just doing it and hope you get through it, fingers crossed, and it turns out well. But, there's all of that, and the condition that it's a chronic condition called dysphagia. And so, that is something that affects me day to day. And but just as a side piece, something I'm also involved in is I'm a patient advisor to a study at McMaster and Dalhousie University on dysphagia and swallowing issues in older people, which I am clearly. And I attended a conference in Chicago in May with the group and made a presentation. And we've done a webinar, and I'm going to Hamilton on July 20th to film a video about my patient experience, lived experience, and do some tests and that kind of thing.
Inspirational. I mean, it's also cool for you to go ahead and do that as well. It's easy for people to be scared with any ailment, really. People can go to the Mayo Clinic and throw themselves down the rabbit hole pretty quick. Or you can go ahead and be part of the solution moving forward, and that's what you're doing, Dave, and that's so cool.
Thank you.
Very admirable. Definitely. Those are the inspirational stories that we love to hear, for sure.
Love it.
Because once again, I mean, it's really easy to just not think about those situations, right?
Ignorance is bliss. Yeah.
Well, yes. I mean, it's funny you bring that up about the Mayo Clinic and WebMD and all that stuff. I mean, I've purposely tried. I told my surgeon once, look, you went to Stanford, I didn't. I'm trusting you. I'm trusting you that this may turn out well. It may not turn out well. I don't want to spend my hours online learning about this. I'm not the one who has to operate on me.
Yeah, or
tell me what I have to do coming out of it, which is why I'm such a staunch advocate for Alberta Cancer Exercise, which is at the U of A. Tell me what I need to do coming out of this to improve myself or get better or whatever that looks like. Going in, put me under, do what you got to do.
Yeah.
We'll take our chances coming out, and we'll see where it goes.
Of course.
Love it.
Well, and that's just it. You leave it to the professionals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I'm totally not.
And that's why we're talking to you.
Just like football, exactly. Yeah, we in our armchairs and everything.
I let you in on a secret. So it's my second year. It's 1999, first year with Don Matthews And you guys are probably too young to remember Don Matthews, but you know the name. I'm a legendary CFL coach. And I made the mistake one day of going into Don's office. I'm probably trying to make small talk or whatever. I mean, I was intimidated by him initially. We became actually very good friends in the 2 years we worked together. But he turned to me one day and he said, "Hey, listen, I'm going to tell you something, JMO." And I went, "What's that, coach?" And he goes, "Just because you work in football doesn't mean you know anything about football." And I think I looked at him and I went, "You're probably right. Have a good day, and we'll talk to you later." Because we had our offices, like he was like down the hall, like 2 doors down. So we saw each other a lot. But he just had that way, right? Like he was just the Don, and he could cut you down to size real quick.
Yes. Oh my goodness, that's so funny. But I mean, I guess they're not wrong. But in your own experience, with what you know, your expertise, we have seen that the Double E has slowly been returning to some of their past ways. You know, they brought back the fireworks, they brought back the fire truck, they brought back the sign. What are your thoughts on the return of these symbols? We'll call them symbols.
Well, they are symbols. I mean, they're iconic images of a time gone by. So I consider myself an Edmonton Eskimo. Okay. I'm not being careful with my wording. I'm not afraid of an opinion, obviously, and I have them. I was in media when they were going through the process of the name change. Now, so I had a good vantage point, and I talked to Alan Watt, who was instrumental in all of that, and he was part of the outreach to northern communities and the discussions in Ottawa and Nunavut and all of that. So I was aware of what was going on, and I was aware of how difficult a situation it was to navigate. In my role with the club, and again, in a different time, and I need to give some context here. I, as the brand manager, steward of the Double E back then, we didn't think of it as racist, right? Which is, people have said it is, and about every year, a couple of years, I would receive a letter and sometimes a phone call from an individual, Nunavut, and this individual, God, I should know the name, lawyer, would reach out to me and have a conversation, and we had some really good conversations, and about the name and how he said others, and I have no reason to disbelieve him, felt it was disrespectful. Now, I defaulted in my conversation to, well, when the team was named, I mean, God bless our forefathers, they weren't terribly creative, because they were going, well, what are we going to use? Because they named the hockey team, the football team, and the baseball team Eskimos, right? Yeah. Like, it was across the board. So they were struggling, I'm sure, is how do we say it's really, really damn cold here? And no, I'm not being facetious. Like, they probably went, okay, we think we need an E. Okay, if you need an E and you're limited there, okay. Let's go with that. And so, but we're a long way removed from those days. And so how do I feel about it? Well, at the dinner, I don't mind telling you, I've done a couple of things publicly. One, obviously, was the 75th dinner last year. And then previous to that was the annual dinner they did outdoors in 22 or 23. I think what Victor Cui was the president. It was an outdoor annual dinner. Anyhow, before both of them, I said, what do you want me to do with the name? Because I'm not going to go up there and do a hot stove with Joe Holloman, Jim Germany, and Ed Jones and call them Elks. No. Because I don't know who is properly served in that. It's that they don't see themselves as that. No. And so when it came to the dinner last year, I went in with the same thing. I go, guys, you need to tell me now. Because if I'm sitting with Warren Moon and Hugh Campbell, which I did, I am not going to look at them and try and, under my breath say, Eskimos or Elks. Guys, remember when you were
How do
Elks?
you dodge that? How do you
Well,
dodge that?
I either and not to be dismissive at all. I know the conversations were tough. They've arrived at this. There were things that we can't that were in play in terms of both sponsors and levels of government and the pressure on the organization to change its name.
Yeah.
I know people today will say, "Well, I would have just kept the name." Well, you weren't there in the room.
Right.
Yeah.
You weren't there in the room when the federal government or the provincial government or the municipal government was leaning on you saying, hey, next time you want to make a bid for a Grey Cup, this is when the team was community owned. Now they're privately owned, and you can do things, privately that you couldn't do as a community owned team. To answer your question, Catherine, about the images and stuff, it's the slow or medium slow roll back to where the owner would like to be.
Yeah.
I will say this, and that's his prerogative. How it's going to be greeted, there will be some who are very excited, and then there will be some who will not be, and they'll voice their displeasure on whatever platform they choose. Had this club, after a rebrand, been good, like there are things that have happened here that you almost can't quite believe. If they'd come out of COVID, or if they'd done the rebrand and emerged and gone on a heater, won a cup, been really good, not worn those stupid antlers on their helmets.
Exactly. And like that was a thing. Sorry, Dave.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things was just like rebranding that team so far away from what it was to begin with. I think that was one of the biggest problems. But
well, and listen, we don't want to get into the aesthetics. There are people better qualified to talk about how teams should look. But I'm a traditionalist in that I in teams like Edmonton should look a certain way.
Yeah.
Like, don't mess with the New York Yankees, the Dodgers, play around with some other stuff, but not, and this seems trivial, but it is actually in sports, it's really important. And the rebrand of what they did and how they looked and those crab claws and all of that stuff, it looked gimmicky. It looked like a guy my age trying to look hip. Okay. And then they weren't good. So, okay, now we're layering on problems again. And, there were issues with the board of directors and whether there was right leadership, and then, just on and on. They couldn't fail, or they couldn't succeed, where for decades this club couldn't fail.
I mean, well, yeah, and then you're trying to wash that type of history. Another thing that they did as well was remove Dwayne Mandrusiak from such a monumental role.
Sure.
Losing Bone. Talking about what they're trying to do in bringing back all of these EE pieces, the EE winning way, the Eskimos way, as we call it. What are your thoughts? Like, what else can they do now to restore some of that old way?
That's it. Like, I mean, signed, and Dwayne is a dear friend of mine, and I actually, one of the great, didn't finish this part of the 75th, as I wrote the video, which we had Rod Smith of TSN voice. The guy's got a killer set of pipes. I know he was the right choice. We wrote, because Dwayne last year at the dinner, the last element of the night, to close it out, it was Dwayne's induction to the Builders Wall at Commonwealth Stadium. And it's an appropriate place for him to be alongside Hugh Campbell, Norm Kimball, Jim Hole, who people go, Jim Hole got Commonwealth Stadium built. Okay. Like, when we say builders, true builders, and I believe Dwayne is in that category. And so that was the cherry on top of that whole great night of celebration, was Dwayne and his emotional speech with his family behind him and talking about all of the things and how he got there, and so on and so forth. And so to answer your question succinctly, which I haven't been very good at tonight, which is what they have to do, you have to win. Because signs and slogans and stuff are just signs and slogans and stuff. Okay. I know what bone means. I can go to the alumni room as I do every game, and the guys who actually play, and I had a really good seat. Okay, I was there for all the practices for 14 years and all the games and the flights and the fights and all of that stuff. They're the players. They're the ones who truly get to say bone. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think they, to a man, would say win. Win. I mean, this is a team that set the standard in the 50s. The 60s were a wipeout. The 70s were pretty good. 75, 78, 79, really good in the 80s. And a league-defining franchise for a long, long time. And yes, there's ebbs and flows, but they want to get back there. They're going to have to win, and win in a way that is entertaining. And I think people now, whether they come back in monstrous numbers, I can't predict that. No one can. But if they can build off what we saw last Sunday, do it against BC, a very good club in the West, and keep it going. It's hard, man. If winning was easy, we'd all do it.
Exactly. Well, and I liked what you said, right? Win exciting games. That's what we just saw on Sunday. That was fantastic.
Well, I think we can just settle with winning for now.
Yeah.
Listen, if it's exciting or not.
I'm not terribly deep. I can't think of something else that they could bring back. I mean, unless you can give me a 25-year-old Dan Kepley and a Warren Moon at 23. I don't know how you would sort of conjure up the good old days. The good old days were about winning. I mean, when, I was there, as I say, 98 to 2012. So I look at the 02, 03, 04, uneven, and 05, which was an old team, but won a Grey Cup in incredible fashion. That was like another sort of era of Eskimo football, that chunk of the 2000s, where they were that 03 team. Because I'd be standing down there near the dressing room and then watching them go on the field, and there would be nights where you go, "There's no chance anyone's beating us, zero chance."
Yeah,
we've got Ricky Ray, Terry Vaughn, Jason Tucker, Ed Hervey, that O line up front, Alfred Pate. I mean, just like good luck. Whoever we're playing, good luck.
You knew what you had. You knew what you had.
We knew what we had. Yeah.
Well, now let's talk about the team that we have right now, because I feel like there is some very special players. We've seen some promising plays, some promising players. What are your thoughts about the on-field performance this year? And even, do you think that they hired the right people in the off season to make this?
Okay, let's start with the football ops side of things. I declare my friendship and respect for Ed Hervey. I've known him since he came, I say back to Canada, because he did attend briefly a training camp with the Bombers. And then he lands with us, and I work closely with Ed, and we went through some tough times for, with on-field stuff, that the helmet and all that stuff and the brawl. But all of that said, I know he can find football players, and I know he can find football players that are tough. And I believe I know the kind of style of team that he likes to roll out if those players are available. Mark Killam is an inspired choice as a head coach. He's been for a number of years. Then that next guy, and now that next guy is here. I hope they give him time. Just that their team is able to win, so that he can plant his feet under him. And I know Jordan Maximic, because I'd worked with him previously. He's obviously gone on to build a great career for himself. I know some of the other people on the staff, and so they look solid there. Okay. JC Sherritt's a young coordinator, but you got to be young at some point. And we know what he was like as a player, and he's matriculated elsewhere in the CFL in Saskatchewan and Calgary, and he did some time down in college in the US. It's his time, go time now. And now, in terms of, Catherine, to answer your question about the players, you saw what Rankin done, Leak. We've seen him do that. Trey Ford is I won't say all of this pivots on Trey Ford, but a lot of it does, and how he's able to evolve. There is no doubt about his athletic ability. That is plainly obvious to anyone who, has eyes and can see him do what he does. But in there, and this is not a criticism, it's just I think it's stating fact, is grow into being the quarterback that the run isn't the first thing. If you don't see your first guy. The game, everyone, this is a cliche, the game slows down for you the more you do it. And the more things make sense, and they make sense, what you can do and what you can't do. And so that is exciting. That's why I think the wins early are really critical, because just to take some of the heat off oh boy, is Trey ready? That conversation, it builds and snowballs and, all of that. If they go 2 and out, then you hear boos and you're like, oh God, okay. We need time here, but they don't have a lot of time. Like people were struggling with whether last game was a must win. I thought it was.
Yeah, no, it was in order to turn this season around, right? And we are riding with Trey Ford now. I think the fans, the fans effectively called for this last year and the year before. We now get what we've been asking for. You can't move right on to Cody Fajardo, and I've already seen these cries. This is something we'll talk about later on, but we're riding with Trey Ford. The organization has picked a path here. And I do like what you said. This isn't about Trey Ford just scrambling out. We know he can do that. How can you form him into the best possible version of Trey Ford and get that ball down the field? That's what this team has to do.
100%.
Well, and you guys are too young, but I know you know the name Tracy Ham, and I didn't work with Tracy Ham. I saw him obviously as a Montreal Alouette and Baltimore Stallion, or CFL, or whatever they were called at the time. And he was when he was arrived in Edmonton, he just ran wildly, like with reckless abandon. And then then you run less, and then you run only in special circumstances, and then your legs become a threat, but not something you always have to use. And so, it just takes time, but the clay is there for them to mold. And if he's a good student and wants to learn, they should be good. And Maksymyk has shown in previous stops that he can work with young quarterbacks.
Yeah, no, totally. The Nathan Rourke effect, right? Nathan Rourke did have a Michael Riley. Take a drink. Did have a Michael Riley. We have a thing going. Every time I say Michael Riley,
in every episode, people have to take a drink.
Yes.
So
yes.
There's your MR13, everybody. But he did have a Michael Riley to work behind, but Jordan Maksymyk was able to take that system and mold, Nathan Rourke into one of the best versions he could be. That 2022 season was absolutely crazy.
And I think on that point, I think that's why we were so excited to have MBT last year, because we thought that he would be that guy for Trey Ford.
Right.
That he would be the one to shape him, to coach him, to teach him, to guide him into what he could be. So definitely, I 100% agree. I think he's growing, he's evolving, and that's exciting to see, and that's positive.
No, and I mean, you see those results from Nathan Rourke and Jordan Maksymyk over there in BC. That is transferable over here, and I think that there is quite a bit of hope here. They just have to work that system together with Trey Ford's capabilities. We know we kind of know where he's at right now, but we still don't know what the ceiling is, and we still don't know what the floor is.
That's fair.
A lot of football left for the rest of the season. I would like to get to some herd chat comments. Dave, we've already kept you longer than we should have, so we're going to get to some comments or questions. Nathan Byer, what up, Nathan? He does say he wants a fridge magnet now. Chris Agar, the keyboard warriors who can't give up on the name issue, need to hear this conversation. Thanks for having this discussion, Dave. Chris Agar here makes a really good point. We hear a lot of it all the time. John Kirby here in the herd chat. What up, John? Dave, I love the interview you did with the commissioner this past Sunday for season ticket holders. Wish there were more. So you had some ears out there.
Well, I appreciate that, John. And with Dwayne Mandrusiak, who we're going to chat with on Sunday, I think we're going to start around 4:00, or when people kind of get settled in over there. it was really, for me, that obviously it's going to be very special to sit with Dwayne and talk about. I mean, God, he's got more rings than he's got fingers, and I'm sure he's got more memories than he can, possibly conjure up. But he's had some special relationships with some really important people for the franchise and for the league as a whole. And so we can get to some of those places in the short time we've got, and I think people will. Dwayne has lots of stories, obviously, and I have lots of stories that you can't share in public.
Perfect combo.
Yeah, and not suitable for the workplace. But there are also, I think if his friendship with Dan Kepley, and was very deep and very special, I'm sure, to both of them. So, but talking to the commissioner, and I knew Stuart Johnson when I was at Bell Media and TSN, and we met on a couple of occasions, and he's got, he's come in very clear-eyed. I think he's uniquely qualified to be the commissioner because he has seen the league at its best, and also I'm sure in the most challenging times. And he's been right there and been a big part of the success they've had in the partnership with TSN. And, I'm excited to see what he can do.
Well, and I think that there was a lot of concerns. We're going to talk about Stuart Johnson because he swung by our tailgate, which was extremely awesome. But he seems very personable. Call me Stu, like that was crazy. He's like call me Stu. I'm like, whoa, okay, not a full Stuart.
No, he's definitely very down to earth.
Down to earth,
that's
yeah.
the
That's
one
the
comment that we got from a lot of people that we were talking to.
Yeah. Let's dig back into this herd chat here. Let's go with this one question here from John. Last question for Dave. What do you think about the 1 p.m. home game on the August long weekend, August 2nd? It's a Saturday. Do you think that that's going to impact attendance? Is that a rough scheduled home game? What do you think?
Well, here's what I'll say. Having been up close on schedules being made for my first 14 years, you think, in a 9-team league, how tough can it be?
Yeah.
You've got stadium availabilities, and Commonwealth is largely free. I mean, yes, you've got big concerts that come through every year or seemingly every year, and so you have to work around those. But you've got 8 other teams. They've got pressures in their market. I don't know what else is happening in the world of sports, what TSN has commitments to. Do I love the 1 o'clock start time? Well, as a man of my age, yes, of course. Because then I don't want to stay out late. But you also, that is early. And I've done, God, I'm going back to a time. There were times when games weren't televised.
Yeah.
Like you'd have a game on a Saturday afternoon, maybe a Sunday afternoon, and nothing. No CBC, no TSN. And CBC used to pick up their coverage at Labor Day.
Yeah.
And so I've seen games, but to get to this start time, I don't love it. But if it were a Western opponent, 1 o'clock on a nice day, maybe we got something here. Maybe you've got, not everyone leaves town. Not everyone has a cabin. Not everyone has, So, we used to get complaints when we have schedules come out and people like, they really get after us. Friday night football, which was just starting to become a thing, right? And it was like, but I have to get out of town to go to the cabin. And I would say facetiously, like, when would you like us to play? Tuesday at 11 a.m.? Like, what works for you? And then can we get 40,000 other people just like you to come Tuesday at 11 a.m.? And the call, obviously the guy knew I was being a bit of an idiot, but after you've taken 25 of those calls, and I took a lot of them, was, you guys screwed up with the schedule, and you don't want to throw your television partner, obviously, under the bus, because we get a big check. You have to try and explain it is a more complex thing than people might appreciate, even in a 9-team league.
Yeah.
That's
I agree.
fair.
It's still a weekend. The only one that I don't like is Thursday nights because I still, it's a rush to get there and then you still have the next day.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Sundays. I think we talked about Sundays on the last show. But yeah, I mean I like Saturday 1 p.m.er. I think that's fine. We're gonna be doing pancakes in the tailgate for that one. So
Exactly. We can have breakfast.
yeah, a
Brunch.
little breakfast in the tailgate.
Exactly.
All right. We did see a Dustin. What up, Dustin? Last game was definitely a must win. I like that comment. And then, of course, Dustin also mentioned CFL season long fantasy incoming. I'm sure you're going to talk a little
Yes.
bit about that on
Yep.
EST tomorrow. We do know that you're going to be on EST tomorrow. You're going to be covering for Dusty, who I assume is on some CFL duties himself.
I look, it's Matthew Iwanyk and I, who we worked together almost 10 years at TSN.
Yeah.
So I don't know what we're doing. I know we've got David Naylor on as a guest, and that'll be fun. So we'll talk some CFL as we should. And, we'll go in and play around for 3 hours and stare into the camera awkwardly. And
just need low tide on there and
yes,
yourselves a soiree.
Yes, we can talk really arcane, sort of silly trivia that Low Tide and I bog down on sometimes.
Oh, love it. Can't wait. I'm definitely going to be tuning in tomorrow.
Yeah.
I hope everybody else does. Last question here, JMO, and then we will let you carry onward because, yeah, you got to host a show in the morning. But touchdown to win. As we know, a gentleman just won the touchdown to win for the 2 kick returns. We did have 2 punt returns, I believe, in the last Edmonton Elks game, but no winner for that. I think you have your own story about touchdown to win.
And I'm glad you brought it up because I saw the tweet from 3 Down Nation, I think, and it said, never been done before. And I understand the younger people, haven't been on the planet as long as I have, and so they don't have the depth of history. And I went, no, not never been done before. And I cast my mind back to 1999. And I tell you what a different time it was. It was early enough in my career that I didn't even travel for the first part of that season because we didn't have budget. So I was watching the game at home. Edmonton in Montreal to play the Alouettes, Percival McGill Stadium. Donnie Ashley and Giz both return kicks for touchdowns. And it was called Score and Win, I think. Ben Safeway was the partner, if I'm not mistaken, many years ago. And I think we lost the game as well. So here's where I pick up the story. So this happens. Yay, someone wins $1 million. Turns out, whoever the woman was, an elderly woman back here in Edmonton who had swiped, or however we did it back then. So the team comes back to Edmonton, and I get contacted by the company. I think it was called Pro Motivate, and they said they were the ones who underwrite the promotion, and they're the ones that ultimately write the checks, right, for this thing. And they do. I'm sure they're not pleased when someone does this, but it's they get publicity and stuff. They said, we'd like to have a news conference. We'd like to bring our winner in, and we'd like the players there, and we go through the process of setting this all up. So off we go. My job is to get Gizmo and Donnie Ashley to come over to a Safeway in Edmonton, and we get there, and Giz pulls up in a little yellow VW, when those bugs came back, and he was all, thought that was cool. And Donnie rode up on his 10-speed because he had, he was a player and had no money, and so that's how he got around, his little knapsack, and he jumped out and came in the Safeway. And we had the news conference in the produce section, and it was the 2 guys, and the winner, and the woman had no clue who we were. All she knew was that she won because her kids said, "Hey, mom or grandma or whatever, you just won $1 million." Yeah. So you've got this scene. There's this huge check. There's Giz on one side. I think she's in the middle. Donnie, who's smaller than Gizmo, and they're standing there grinning. And click, 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 and she says a few words awkwardly. There was cameras there to capture it all. I'm standing off to the side. So we wrap up, and the guys are kind of looking at me like, where's our stuff? And I kind of like, not now, and usher them out. Giz drives off. I think we went back to practice. Donnie rides over to Commonwealth. I get to the dressing room, and Giz goes, "Hey, can I see you for a minute?" And I said, what's going on? He goes, are we getting any money for this? And I said, Hank, I hate to let you in on a little something here, but you're paid to play football. You did it. This is a contest that's like, so sad here, my friend. You made the mistake of returning a kick for a touchdown, but you don't just sort of get a check handed to you. So I tell, and Donnie was quiet and didn't say a word about it, and Giz is angry, like he kept going on about it. And then to make matters worse, the woman, God bless her, got a little thank you card and wrote, thank you in this old person's scrawl, and dropped it through the night slot at the old building. And I picked it up and I brought it over and I showed it to Giz. I said, hey, you got a thank you card. And that made him angrier. So I went to Jed Roberts and I said, we got to do something because number 2 is furious. And Jed goes, okay, I got an idea. He goes, can you get a big check made? Not like massive, but something we can put in the overhead. And because our next game was in Toronto at Skydome. And I said, yeah, I can get something done. What are you thinking? He goes, get a check up, pay to the order of Gizmo Williams, put $1 and get her name done on the bottom, or like whatever. So I got it done. William Huff Advertising. I went to Bruce Simpson and the folks out there. Got it done. I carried it. And back then we flew commercial, like no charters. We had it wrapped in brown paper. Get off. I'm carrying this thing. I don't want to break it. Core plant, carrying it carefully with my bag. Get to Skydome. We have a walkthrough practice. We used to call them hat days. And hat days, guys wore hats. They wore all sorts of weird stuff. They were nuts. They call the team to the middle after they go through, and everyone, they chant or sing a song or whatever. And they gather in the middle of the field at Skydome. And they go, JMO, come on in. And so I come running out with this check, and everyone separates, and Jed takes it, and he calls Giz forward. I think it was just Giz. I don't think Donnie was fine. And they presented him with the $1 check, and it was just, and Henry was still angry and couldn't believe that he didn't, because he was so great, didn't also get $1 million. And we said, that's not how the game is played. Henry.
Check the contract, Giz.
Check the contract. Fine print, my friend.
So funny. Oh,
yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, so it's been done, albeit a long time ago, but whoever this individual was that just won, and I think you get like how much, 50,000 a year for 20 years or something?
Yes. Yeah, I believe 50,000 a year for 20 years. I think it's something like that, or twice a year or something like that. But yes,
yeah. So but anyhow, that's the $1 million.
What Giz would do even for the 50,000 out of that,
Yes.
That's amazing. That's a great story. We do have John over here saying, I would pay to hear Dave for 2 hours. Just telling
well,
the CFL.
Well, at my age, I might repeat some, but yes, I people have said, hey, can you tell us the Alfred Payton going to court story or whatever? Yes, I
love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
John Hayden also says great story, has a story of his own. We'll get to that after JMO is out of here. Great story. And then Dustin also says great story. So yeah, man, I mean, Frick, we could talk to you all night, Dave. We know that you have to, we definitely wanted to keep this short, and unfortunately we didn't, because we could talk to you all night. But, I apologize.
If it wasn't a school night, remember school nights, you got to get to bed. It's a school night. Yeah, I would hang with you guys because I always enjoy our time. But yeah, I'll, I always think I run the risk of repeating and boring the hell out of people, but some of them are, some are crowd pleasers. Mandrusiak's got the best. I will step aside, and, nobody beats that guy.
Hey, but JMO, close second, and our listeners and viewers do get to see you on EST. You are opening up the show tomorrow morning from
Yes.
the open show with Matthew Iwanyk. Classic combination. Can't wait. Everybody check it out. 6 a.m. on Edmonton Sports Talk. Dave, we know that we can find you online at the Dave Jamieson on
Yes.
X.
Infrequently. All I do now seemingly is identify old goaltenders from the 70s and which I love doing. Which I don't know why I would care who played for the 72 Pittsburgh Penguins, but I do somehow.
Or the California Golden Seals.
Yes, my personal favorite. Yeah, well, and the last tweet I did is funny you should mention that, is I was in the upper deck with Jack Cookson, and we looked down, and Jack goes, 2:00. Just look down, and lo and behold, there's someone wearing a Seals jersey, Gilles Meloche, the greatest ever. And I went, green and gold, right? I mean, this individual probably said, geez, I don't have an Elks jersey to wear tonight. What have I got? He pulls this 27 Seals jersey. It was fantastic.
After your own heart, Dave.
Yes. Yes.
Man, this was a fantastic chat tonight. Once again, everybody can check you out tomorrow morning at on the Nielsen Show on EST. Dave Jamieson, we cannot thank you enough for shifting. Can't thank you enough for your time. And lunch is on me. So Clearwater, we still got to make it happen. And now that my job is not so busy right now, I think we're gonna be able to make it down. As long as you are, as long as you're not the gun for hire, just out there. So. Once again, can't thank you enough, man. We'll let you go. Have an awesome night, Dave.
Yeah, you too, guys. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you, man. And that was Dave Jamieson. Just the greatest.
Every time. I could also talk to Dave just for hours and hours and hours.
All right, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the show a founding father of Edmonton Sports Talk, co-host of the Green and Gold pre and post show, and tailgate enjoyer. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Matthew Iwanyk. Matthew, man, super appreciative of your time tonight. It's always a blast having you on the Elks Call, and in your last appearance, I don't even think Edmonton Sports Talk was truly breathing yet.
No, I remember, we were on the air, but it was like early days, or was that in the summer prior? Like in like the August prior? Was that before we launched?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow. Jeez.
I think there were
a wild little time.
The talks were there.
I knew it was happening. So it must have been in the August then, and then we hadn't been on the air. That's kind of wild to me. Wow. Look at us. Look at all of us go. You guys have your new studio and your new place and all that.
I mean, I don't know if you can really compare a studio to a little hole under the stairs, but you know what? I'll take it.
No, you guys.
Yeah.
You guys have the new studio, man.
Yeah.
That's pretty unreal. How's that been?
No, the new studio has been great. It's a much bigger place, more room. We outgrew the other place just way too quickly. It was, and it was just look, what we do is fun. What we do is enjoyable. We play around, we goof around. But the other place was just a little too, boys in a clubhouse type thing. And, if any like business clients walk in, it's like immediately they see all of us playing basketball or something like that. It probably wasn't the best professionally. So now we actually on the front look professional. Behind the scenes, still not fully professional, but at the front, at least we give the impression that we are professional. So, but the space is the one thing that it's just, we're not all over each other or anything. We're not just all around each other. So it's been wonderful. And honestly, for me, just personally, like we ended up moving from one location to the next and we didn't miss a single show. Yeah. We didn't have to go off the air for a day. We didn't have to lose anything. We moved over almost headache free and boom, we were on the air and I was very thankful.
That's awesome. That's wild. I didn't even know it happened until it happened. I'm like, whoa, what happened? What happened? Where are they now? So that was seamless. That was really cool. I'm glad that it went really well for you guys and you managed to get it done without any headaches.
Yeah. And like we broadcasted at the old place. Then that night, they're like throughout the rest of that, they were at a Boston Pizza. And then the next day we're at the new place. And it was just like all just perfect. It all worked out. Like there was no real issues in any, like even us on location, there was no issue. So I was like, actually, there should have been probably something that happened. Usually there is, but for some reason it didn't. And I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah.
Unreal, man. I mean, but we might as well just ask this question now, but like, how can you summarize these last 2 years from start to finish? Like, well, I guess start to where you are now anyway. Sorry.
Yeah. Surreal in a way. Like it's quite wild. It's like things have been fast forwarded. Like everything that we've done, like we never thought that we wouldn't be successful. We never thought that we wouldn't have some people following us. I think in the end, we're surprised at how big it was to start, like the amount of people that have actually we've seen through the numbers that are tuning in, and just how quickly that we have grown. I think Dusty, Eric, Tommy, and I, when we first launched, we would have told you that someday we would have gone from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. We would have added afternoon shows. We would have done all that. But I don't think we would have thought we would do that in year 2. And to start year 2 last year, we did it. And then I remember actually telling Dusty in our first year of the old place, I'm like, when this lease is up in 2 years, like maybe we do one more year, but we're going to have to start looking at new places. And Dusty's like, no, we're fine. And it was Dusty, though, who like earlier this year was like recognized that, no, like we've outgrown this space and was ready to move on to find a bigger space. So it's wild what we've done in 2 years, like the amount of things we've accomplished, the amount of things that we've done. And just how quickly some of this stuff has worked out for us. And, the Elks have given us a lot to discuss. You go from last year with new ownership, they had Chris Jones getting fired, then new ownership, and then all the new hirings this offseason, and then what they're going through this year. That always makes things exciting. And then the Edmonton Oilers, like when we first launched, they fired Jay Woodcroft, and then they've gone to 2 Stanley Cup final runs. So for us also, like the 2 major local teams in town have really helped us, giving something for us to talk about and people want to tune into. But yeah, this first 2 years, it's been surreal, and it just feels like everything's just going super, super fast. And just at times we're accomplishing things that we didn't think we'd do yet, that it would take maybe a few more weeks. And we're very thankful for them. We're thankful for everyone for tuning in and supporting us. And we're thankful to all the people like you guys who jumped on with us, before we even launched. And it's just been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh man, I mean, much like you guys have been riding the lightning of the local sports teams, I mean, we're riding the lightning ourselves a little bit. You guys have been fantastic to see what you've brought. I know we're going to talk a little bit more about it, but I mean, Big Uke here in the herd chat. What a Big Uke. Electric win last Friday. Wish the weather would have been a bit better. So there would have been more people. And I mean, yes, obviously that point there, we're going to talk a lot about the game here in a moment, but we got nasties in the herd chat. Nasties are everywhere. You see them out in the wild. You guys have built that family. So, but we do have more questions about that later.
No, you guys are killing it. And one thing that I'll say about that though is that now it really shows how much Edmonton loves sports. Yeah. The fact that they're just eating up this content and they just love it, and it's just growing so fast. It just shows that there was a lack of that type of content, and people are really truly loving it. So, but let's bring it back to some football talk. The Edmonton Elks have found a way to secure a 3-6 record halfway through the season. What are your thoughts on the first half of the season of Elks football?
Yeah, it's been an interesting season. There's no question. It's almost like that first half is broken into the 2 parts. There's the pre-Saskatchewan and then Saskatchewan post. Through the facets, like offensively, Cody Fajardo has really solidified that offense. He's really stabilized things. I wasn't so sure about the move to him as soon as they did. But it has been paying dividends. That said, I'll just quickly, I think there could have been a better offensive game plan with Trey Ford as the starting quarterback than they chose to go with. But, Cody Fajardo is a veteran quarterback who's won a Grey Cup, and there's a lot more you could do with Cody, and there's a lot more of a playbook you can open. Like Trey is kind of limited. There's just so much growth that he still would need and was still so raw, whereas Cody is so polished. And when you're struggling right out the gates, sometimes you can't wait. Sometimes you just need to go start winning football games. And you've really seen a change from the offense. You just have a lot more confidence when they go on the field that they could possibly go down the field and score. And it's the Hamilton game that I'll point to, where opening drive, or not really opening drive, but opening kickoff gets Hamilton right in scoring position. They score a quick touchdown at 7-0. Elks teams of the past, whatever quarterback it was, Trey, Cornelius, whoever, you might sit there and be like, oh, this could be a long day. They'll go out and they'll get a 2-1 out or something like that. But what does that offense do? They march down the field and match it, and it's 7-7 all of a sudden. And that right there is just what Cody Fajardo can do for this team. And we've really seen Jordan McSimic recognize that Justin Rankin is a guy that needs the ball. If you can't run the ball, you still need to find a way to get Justin Rankin the ball and throwing him. And we're seeing him the last few weeks just make big plays. And so that offense really with Fajardo and the emergence of McSimic maximizing Rankin, we've seen that offense really produce in a solid level and a way that you expect that, okay, they're going to go score points. Defensively, a huge turnaround so far. Through that first little bit, giving up 34 points per game, and now it's under 23. Like they've really... They're not a perfect defense. You still would hope for a few more turnovers. You'd still maybe hope for a few more less yards given up, I guess you should say. But like last week, 1 for 5 in the red zone. They allowed the Argos to march down the field, but didn't give up the touchdown, which is what matters. Take the yards. Give up all the yards you want, but just don't give up the touchdowns. And
Bemba don't break, right? Bemba don't break. That's been the motto lately.
And this team has allowed teams to march down the field, but they've let them finish it off. And right now, they're not allowing them to finish it off. Even, Caleb Evans was able to move the ball pretty well when he came in from Montreal, but they didn't give up those extra touchdowns. So defensively, a huge turnaround. I mean, maybe that just comes down to the fact that they've finally figured out J.C. Sherritt's defense. And special teams, like there's not much to say outside of that. They've been really good. Vincent Blanchard is a solid kicker. I don't think many would have said that after week 1, but this kid has turned into a solid kicker. He's doing a good job at the punt games. So too bad Cody Grace is hurt, but he's been an excellent punter. The return game, you're feeling a little more confident in. You're feeling like Leak at any point could possibly take one. So it's a very weird 3-6 because at 3-6, we should be sitting here going, they're about to be halfway through the season. And we should be upset. Like we should be sitting here going, what a joke. But there's a lot more hope because of how these last 4 games have. And it doesn't, the record doesn't feel like where I think the Elks fan base is at right now.
Right. I think for me, I just wish that it didn't take them 9 games to get to this point. It would have been nice to see some of that progress and that improvement earlier in the season instead of having to wait for yet a bigger change, a big change, like bringing in Cody Fajardo to see those kinds of changes. But at the same time, we've talked about this before. What's better, seeing a little bit of improvement every single week or just not being close enough every single time, right? So,
yeah. Well, how many years of this, right?
Yeah, and I will say Cody Fajardo, before he was actually a starting quarterback, was on with Reed Wilkins and Jay Milner on EST. This has been early July or something, and he did make a good point at the time where he's like, I don't want to, make excuses for a record. I'm paraphrasing him here, but he's like, you look at the best teams, and generally there's a continuity from year to year. And the Elks, it take away the players out of this. Brand new head coach, brand new offensive coordinator, brand new defensive coordinator, brand new special teams coach. Mm-hmm. Like it's all 4 major parts of the coaching staff, brand new. So there is a learning curve. There is a time to understand that. And no matter what they have throughout training camp and throughout the offseason, it's not going to replicate games. And so maybe we were a little too high on this team at times going into the season, thinking that things would be, much quicker to turn around when we shouldn't have been. And then when you look at Calgary, it's easy to point them, be like, well, look, they turned around. But Dave Dickinson is still there. Their defensive coordinator, while he wasn't their defensive coordinator last year, he was on the staff at least. So they had a little bit of a continuity from year to year, whereas the Elks, it was a blank slate. So we should have maybe looked more at that going into the season as to, maybe the Elks will have a bad start to this year. But it's still like, you want to see those wins, and it's hard when you start the season, it's just loss. And like, can't they just win?
Well, and the other thing too, with this massive shuffle of coaching here in Edmonton, I think that these losses have also kind of reminded people that the team losses are exactly that. It's not just the players, it's also the coaches. I mean, the coaching has taken some time to get their stuff together here over these first 9 games, right? Yeah. First 9 games.
Well, and that's just it, right? And even though it's the same story for the last 3 years, it's a rebuild, and a rebuild takes time. And I think in paper, everything looked fantastic at the beginning of the year, the beginning of the season, but
On
it's
paper.
on paper. But it's easy to forget that for something like this, it will take time. But
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
No, but like, let's say besides Justin Rankin, talking about this last Elks game against the Argonauts, what other players stood out for you?
I think one player is Joel DeBlanco has actually looked pretty good since he's come in. Like, I know against Hamilton, it looked like Bo on the passing game kind of was picking him apart as a young guy. But on the run attack from that one was really good. But I think since then, even in Montreal and Toronto, more specifically last week to your question, like he has stepped up in a way to me where Nick Anderson's a great player. You know, you don't lead the league in tackles in your rookie year by being, whatever player. He, through those early struggles of the season, he was the best defender by far. It feels like though they haven't missed a beat with him out of the lineup, partly because Joel DeBlanco has kind of stepped in and has done an excellent job. And so I'm very impressed by him. He was that first overall pick last year. We were told he's being drafted because he could slot in and play right away. And then he didn't slot in and play right away outside of special teams. So you're like, well, what's going on here? And then comes in this year, football, next man up. And he's been a prime example of stepping up and being less man up or next man up. He's probably the big one for me. I mean, look, if we're looking at the Toronto game, shout out to Schneider, by the way, for that huge tackle at the end of that. I just want to quickly throw that one out there because that was huge. I will give also like Vincent Blanchard credit from last game for a couple of reasons. One, he made his first kick over 50 yards.
Right.
Good on him. He was 4 of 6. When you look at the 2 misses, I'll always give credit, especially on kickers on misses over 50 yards, because that is difficult. So one of his was 50. And then the other one, laces were not out. He had a kick on the lace that messed with him. But the other part we have to remember is he was also punting. Mm-hmm. And I remember years back, Sean White had to fill in for punting and he had to do dual duties. And his kicking struggled at that. They actually had to bring in another punter because he couldn't handle both. He was getting a tired leg, and as accurate of kicker he was, that was a stretch where he wasn't making his kicks. That I don't feel was the case with Vincent Blanchard last week. Like it was, again, for the 50-yarder. It's just he's trying to learn how to kick those 50-yarders, and the other one was the holder and snap thing there. So from that one, I'm actually very impressed with Vincent Blanchard in that. He hit it over a 50-yarder, but was handling both duties quite well. And I don't know how long Cody Grace might be gone for, but it's been a long time. I don't know how many other teams maybe do this. I don't know if many do it anymore. But Sean Fleming used to do all of it. He used to kick, punt, kickoff duties, and that's a huge advantage as a team because you could use another American or global player somewhere else.
Right. Yep.
Well, and
credit Blanchard for that, for what I saw last week, because if this keeps going that way, maybe there's a body you could save for somewhere else. And if you're looking long term for this team, whether next year or the year after.
And that's very true. We did sign a punter. Was it last week or something? So, but I'm not sure if they're actually going to bring him in or they're just going to keep Blanchard in that position.
Oh no, and I also want to say it was Hugh O'Neill that they brought in to help Sean White. I could be wrong.
I think you're right on that. Yeah,
every Hugh O'Neill, the beard. Yeah, no, and it is interesting with that Vincent Blanchard play. He did miss those 2, but he rebounded. Yeah, and it's not very often because kickers, just like we see in Saskatchewan right now with Brett Lothar, kickers lose their composure and it kind of falls apart. But he rose above the adversity, which is very interesting. Totally. I think that's a great quality.
I'm a fan. I'm a big fan.
I'm a stan.
I want to jump in on Brett Lothar here quickly because I was in Saskatchewan for the game last week and I was in the pill zone and he was struggling with kicks early and there was a win there. And he came out at halftime early to take some kicks and he was struggling in his practice kicks. He at one point just put up his arms because he didn't know what to do because anytime he aimed it for like the middle of the field goal post, it blew right and he missed. So then he tried to adjust by kicking it left. And it stayed straight. And that was the moment where he put his arms out and he's like, I don't know what, like basically he was like, I don't know what to do because if he tries to play it one way, it was going to miss. And if he played the other way, he was going to miss the other way. There was no way he was figuring it out. And then they actually had to kick a go for the field goal on that end in like the third quarter. And I'm like, I don't think this guy's going to get it. And he missed. And I was just like, it was fascinating to watch him through that halftime because he kicked like 7 or 8 balls and he didn't make one through it. And then to see him go miss afterwards, it was a fascinating little thing. And I was like, no one else was paying attention to this in my group of buddies, but he was lost on that end of the field. So just a side note there. I haven't talked about that with anyone, I guess, this week. But yeah, Brett Lawther, he's having a tough time.
That'd be so hard too when you have one job.
Yeah.
And your one job is just to kick the ball. It's like, how much can you, well, what can you do? What can you do if it's just not working, right? That'd probably be the hardest job in the whole team. But now we think that the Elks have a good chance at a win this upcoming Friday versus the Ottawa Redblacks. They're facing a quarterback crisis of their own. So what players or storylines are you watching for in this upcoming game?
Well, the quarterback's the big one. Yeah. You know, Dustin Crum, not a lot to write home about. No. Not a solid. But when you look at last week with Winnipeg, he's the quarterback that led that comeback. Yeah. It wasn't Drew Brown. It was when Drew Brown got hurt, Dustin Crum came in and he led that. So I will give him credit for what happened to the Red Blacks there. I'd have to go look back in the official stats. But for this season, anytime Geno Lewis is going to go up against the Elks, you're going to be paying attention to that. And, you know, he didn't exactly go off here in Edmonton a month ago or whatever it was ago. He wants to beat this team. He wants to put up big numbers against this team. Yeah. So that's a guy that I'm absolutely going to be watching. And then the other thing is it's kind of a battle of the Elks offense versus the Ottawa defense in the sense of, you know, Cody hasn't thrown a lot of picks this year. This team offense, actually the whole team, they haven't really had a lot of turnovers. The Edmonton Elks, they haven't forced a lot, but they also haven't given up the ball a lot. Whereas the Red Black secondary has had a lot of interceptions this year. They are right near the top of the CFL in terms of interceptions. And it will be a fascinating storyline for me to watch Cody versus the defensive backs of the Ottawa Red Blacks, because I think Cody will be able to find his yards. I think Cody will be able to move the ball. But I also think this Ottawa Red Blacks team at times is going to be able to turn the ball over and make plays the other way. So is Cody going to put the ball in a spot where the Red Blacks can make that play? We saw a couple of interceptions from Cody since he's been the starter that, you know, underthrown balls almost, if you will, for both of them. Is he going to do that against this Red Blacks team that can have turnovers? That is a big thing to watch, I think, going into this one is that battle of the ball between the Elks and the Red Blacks. But yeah, anytime Geno's going to go up against this team right now, as long as also Ed Hervey's the general manager, that is something you're going to have to watch. And it's something they have to also worry about because he is a receiver that could just go off. Now, again, Dustin Crum's throwing him the ball. It's not Drew Brown, but you never know. And it's out in Ottawa. So those are the couple of big things that I'd be watching for this week.
Well, and I think that Dustin Crum also getting a full week of practice under the ones is going to be a little bit critical to his performance as well in this game coming up. So,
which though the Elks also then know that he's the starter.
Yeah.
So now, like, there is the flip side of, you know, that you were playing against Drew Brown as opposed to like Winnipeg last week. You're prepping for Drew Brown. He gets hurt. Crum comes in. So this week the Elks know it's Dustin Crum. All week they've been preparing for him. So maybe that helps the Elks a little bit in this one.
No, totally understandable.
Do you think they're going to win though?
I'm very confident in this one. Yeah. Like this is, I was not confident about Montreal. Wasn't confident about Toronto at all. After that game against Toronto, I'm like, they're beating Ottawa. Like they're going to go beat Ottawa. Labor Day, different story, but Ottawa, it's there. With where this team is going right now, it's also they have to win this. If we're going to at all have a conversation about playoffs, you can't blow these games. You know, this was the stretch you needed to pick up wins. Montreal with all their injuries, Toronto who aren't that really good, and now Ottawa who aren't really good. These wins you need to have with that start of the season. But yes, it was funny for anyone that bets out there. I saw one betting where Ottawa was going to be the favorite after the, you know, I was doing the post game show last week, and I mentioned to Jay, and Jay thought I was saying that Edmonton was going to be the underdogs and Ottawa was going to be the favorite. I'm like, no. This is from like somewhere. And I'm like, just what? Like, it's going to open this way. You're going to want to jump on the Elks when you have a chance because it's going to flip. And we've seen a complete flip this week. The Elks are completely the favorite. And then they should be. You know, the Red Blacks have had some nice games, but the Elks have been trending in the right direction for the last 4 weeks. They're playing good football. they deserve to be the favorites going into Ottawa.
Let's go. I love that.
Yeah.
And they should be. I mean, they have been playing fantastic football. There's potential here to get a nice streak going. Now we are going to talk about this Ottawa, the games after Ottawa in just a moment. I would like to get some herd chat comments.
Yeah, we have quite a few. They're just loving it over here.
Alrighty. Dave McKinnon does say missed you too last week. Hey Dave, we missed you too, man. We will talk more about that later on. No shortage of topics on EST. Sometimes they even talk about sports. Yes,
Sometimes.
EST does.
Just sometimes.
Yes. The Hangout in particular, can't thank you enough for having me on. It's always a blast. The Hangout is one of the most open, free shows I think I've ever seen on the airwaves. So
yeah,
you guys do fantastic with that. Let's take a look. What else do we have? We do have some questions. We will get to those at the end, John. We see you've posted
I
a
like
couple.
this one, though. I like this one from John. Is there a possibility ever of a Battle of Alberta in the Grey Cup?
Ever or this season? Like, if we're talking ever, there's a possibility.
I mean, the possibility is there.
It's there. The crossover, both teams go all the way.
That'd be a wild one.
And then
yeah,
Big U does follow.
The one thing I will say about the crossover, we always look at the crossover. Every year we've gone, it's the easier path. It's never happened. The West has never come all the way through it. It is actually rather difficult, but the possibility is there. I, though, for one, would love to see the day where the CFL almost does away with divisions and we just go 1 through 6. We're the best 6 teams. And if you really want to keep divisions, have the division winners both, jump to the East-West final, but then wild card everyone else and rank the 4 best teams after that and have them go wherever they need to go. And I understand, I understand that CFL sometimes well, we don't want an all West final or something like that. Well, but if they're the 2 best teams, they're the 2 best teams. Yeah, if you get Saskatchewan, Calgary, go to the Grey Cup, awesome. They're 2 great football teams. Awesome in terms of an entertainment perspective. Sucks if it was Saskatchewan, Calgary, because screw them. But from an entertainment perspective, those are the 2 best teams. They're 2 best teams. So let's get them in the Grey Cup.
You know what? And that totally makes sense. When I first, I'm fairly new to the world of football. And when I first started watching and you told me about the divisions and how that works, I was like, that makes no sense. Why are they doing that? That's dumb.
Why would you just pick the top 6 teams? That's what makes sense, right?
That's exactly it. It's just I get it. But at the same time, I totally agree. Yeah. I think if they're the best, and just have it.
Duke it out. Big U does say needs some major crossover magic. That would be an insane Grey Cup. In reference to, of course, the Battle of Alberta Grey Cup. I would be traveling wherever I need to go for that one, I think. And I think you're going to for that kind of Grey Cup. Okay. The Wanderers also does say down here at the bottom exactly what I needed after the day I had. Well, man,
there you go.
Maddie, you're working magic here on the show today. But let's start talking. Start talking about this Labor Day Classic, because EST has a little bit of a role this year, which is pretty friggin' sweet. I did not think I would see a true Edmonton Elks and EST collaboration. So if the Edmonton Elks can beat Ottawa, their next challenge will be against the Calgary Stampeders, the Labor Day Classic Series, and Edmonton Sports Talk will have a hand in making the game day experience that much better for the contingent of Double E fans. So can you tell us more about the Labor Day fan buzz? How did this happen? And what is the exact details on this?
Yeah, so we have a couple of buses in partnership with the Elks that we're going to take down on just a full day to go cheer on the Double E at McMahon Stadium. Just quickly, I'll go through the details and how it started. It's I think it's leaving from Commonwealth, stop in Red Deer, just for a little quick pit stop. Everyone will get 2 Canadian Club beverages on the way down. We'll get to McMahon Stadium a couple of hours early. I've heard they have a really good tailgate themselves, so people will be able to go experience the tailgate. I know, Dave McKinnon, we are still waiting to hear. He wants to tailgate down there for the bus and stuff. So we know he could bring his stuff. We don't know if the Stamps are going to give us a spot yet. So I'm still waiting to hear on that, which would be kind of cool. Then we'll all sit together in the stadium and cheer on the Double E. And then afterwards, everyone will get on the bus, come on back. There'll be some pizza and stuff. And it's with ticket, with transportation, with the drinks, with the pizza, all of that. It's $150 plus GST. But if you use promo code EST Labor Day, it's $125 plus GST. So EST Labor Day, there's your promo code. So I've never been to Labor Day. I'll start by saying that I've always wanted to go. Labor Day has always been like a big deal in my household. My dad, brother, and I would always watch it. I don't know. It was always make nachos. And then I started working at 1260, and we eventually did the Green and Gold kickoff post-game show. So I ended up always working on Labor Day, which I don't regret. I love doing those shows, and I want to give that coverage. So I was always happy to do that. But I always also wanted to still go to Labor Day. And Tom Gazzola, he's talked about there used to be buses every year that were big parties, and they would go down and they would go cheer on the Elks and come on back, and they would have a great time. And it sounded like awesome. Like, yeah, let's go invade McMahon Stadium, as big of a dump as it is. Let's go cheer on the Elks to a victory. Or at the back, and then cheer on the Eskimos to a victory. So when we started, like 2 years ago, or like not this season, the season prior, I did want to do a bus. I figured what's really fully involved. And then we were talking with the Elks, and the Elks were interested in us doing it. So like, we want to do this with you. And then nothing really happened last year. Just obviously they had ownership change. Mm-hmm. We were going into year 2. And then this year, Evan Dom and the Elks, Dusty and I, we met with them, and we wanted to get this done. So we had the full chat, and we're like, let's make sure we do this year. So we finally committed, and, Dahmer with the Elks was great. He got the buses secured for us, because I had already, I was at the point where I'm like, if the Elks aren't in, I still want to do one. I'll do this without them. Mm-hmm. And I was struggling finding a bus. I'm not gonna lie. I messaged it's kind of a key factor. But I messaged Red Arrow, and I was like, hey, what's the cost of a bus? And yeah, we're busy on Labor Day. And I was like, damn it. So when I was meeting with Dahmer, I was like, yeah, we need a bus, but Red Arrow can't do it, and I don't know what else. And he's like, well, Red Arrow's taking us. So I was like, I'll ask him if they could do. And he was able to get it done. They, clearly they care more about the Elks than me. So yeah, so we got it done, and I'm very excited that we're all going to go down. I don't know where I'm going to broadcast pre and post game yet. Jay and I will find some spot. But yeah, we sold the first bus. The second bus has been selling. So there's not a lot of spots left. So hopefully we can fill up 2 full buses to bring down Double E fans to go cheer on the Elks. And look, imagine if they beat Ottawa on Friday, a 3 in a row. This team's rolling, going down to Calgary. What better way to go? Let's go cheer on the Elks, that Labor Day victory. So, yeah. So again, it's on our website, edmontonsportstalk.com. It says Labor Day bus. You can click that. It's also on the Elks website under, I think it's events, and it just says Labor Day bus. But make sure you use that promo code EST Labor Day to save that $25. And yeah, it's going to be a fun time. I think there's from EST, myself, Jay, Eric, Zach, Trev, Hernan, and Jasmine are going down. So we're going to be part of that bus. There's going to be a bunch of other people as well. So, we're all going down as Double E fans, basically, except Eric, because he's a Rider fan. He's going there for a good time.
Awesome.
Yeah. And we're just going to have a fun time, and we're going to cheer on the Elks. And, if this goes well, which right now looking like it, we'll do it again next year.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
It's funny. I mean, not green or gold here, but I was given a green from Catherine to potentially join you guys.
Well, I personally can't. We have the boys home, but you know what?
We usually do a Labor Day tradition. We make a bunch of food.
If I could, I would go, but I mean, why can't you? So, and it's what I said. When it comes down to going to Calgary, you have to pay for gas.
Yeah.
You have to find, if you're drinking, you should stay there. So now you're looking for, a hotel or somebody to stay with. At that point, being able to travel safely with a whole group and have fun and get home safely can't beat that at that price. So,
it's
get on it.
Yeah, you don't have to pay for the gas. You don't have to pay for the hotel.
No.
You get a little bit to eat. You get a couple of drinks, and you get a seat to the game. So it should be It's hopefully, yeah, it should be a great time. It's going to be fun. And once the Elks are going in with a 3-game win streak, we're all going to be great.
Yeah. Yep. 2 drinks compliments of Canadian Club, who is sponsoring the EST Labor Day bus. So once again, that is $150, but $125 with the promo code EST Labor Day.
Yeah.
Is it all caps, no spaces?
No spaces. I don't know if caps matter.
Okay,
Sure.
perfect.
You could do cap EST Labor Day, but that EST Labor Day save you $25.
I love that.
Love it.
Oh, I'm excited.
Much text.
Yeah, and Dave McKinnon, he was asking me, he's like, hey, are you going? Are you jumping on the bus? I've had multiple Elks fans ask me if I'm jumping on the bus. Tracy Ham and Eggs.
Yeah.
Shout out Ken. So yeah, man, I mean, now that I've been given a green light, I'm pretty sure I will be making a purchase. I would like to bring up John's question here because it is pertinent to this to the Labor Day bus. From the Elks email I got today, only a few spots left on the Labor Day bus. Do you happen to have a count of seats or how many seats are available or percentage or?
No, because the Elks are handling all those details.
Yeah.
So yeah, all I know is as of early last week at some point, I was told the first bus was out and we're well onto the second bus.
Beautiful. Right on. Right on.
We're into that. At that time, I know of at least a good 10, 15, tickets that have been sold or spots that have been taken over the course of this week. So that bus is filling up. I don't know. There still should be some space, but we're getting closer to that. So I would say it's jump on it sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
You better hurry
to be
up.
sure.
I think that there should be like a fan draft. Like you should be able to draft the EST members, an EST draft of EST members to each bus. I mean, bus 1 and bus 2,
Then I might not make a bus.
I
think you could attest to that one if he's still listening.
Oh, so good.
Nope.
And Dave McKinnon does say EST Tailgate is just south of Main Stage near Spirit of Edmonton. That was
for a question that I believe John asked where the EST tailgate was.
Oh, perfect.
So,
thank you.
yes.
I missed that one.
But let's just to kind of close it up here. My question is, how confident are you that the team can pull the season around? Now I'm talking season. Are they making it to the playoffs?
Ooh, you said the P word.
Yeah, I say the
P word.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
I am Jay Milne is a very optimistic Elks fan right now, an Elks person right now. I am on the other side. As much as I am confident about Ottawa, I do have my concerns still about the rest of this season. Hate to be Debbie the Downer here. But I just don't know if the Elks yet are ready to compete with the Stampeders, the Riders of the world. That's the concern that I do have. People could point to me and say, like, look, in Saskatchewan and Hamilton, look how well they played, but they lost. In the end, you have to remember that they lost. And people could say, Hamilton, well, they should have won if Julian Grant caught that ball. And I could counter, well, but if McLeod Bethel Thompson hits Tyler Sneed in the end zone and the next play is not a pick six by Terrell Ford and the Owls run away with that football game, there's just a lot of close plays here. I do worry. Like, this was a stretch that they are going on that was winnable. This is a stretch of games that they needed to go win. Mm-hmm. You can only do what you can against the opponent that you have. Maybe if they go dominate Ottawa on Friday, this is a little different what I'm saying. But Montreal shouldn't have been that close. Toronto, maybe they should have won by a little bit more. They're not pulling away from those lower teams. That what's going to happen when you go up against the Calgary Stampeders? What's going to happen when you go up against the Saskatchewan Roughriders again? The Riders, for the first part in killing the Elks, they never learned how to put the foot on the pedal through the whole game. They allowed the teams back in, but they went out to Montreal. They dominated. They took on Hamilton at home this weekend, and they dominated. We'll see what they do against Winnipeg, but I'm liking their chances against Winnipeg right now. They're looking good. So I just also worry when the Elks, because they're going to lose a game at some point. They're not those other teams. If they get, like, on Labor Day, here's my worry, is that they're going to get smacked around on Labor Day. And what does that do for the confidence of this team? What does that do then overall for this team of the belief? It's great that they're building from Saskatchewan to Hamilton to Montreal to Toronto. But what happens when you get knocked down a pick? How are you going to respond to that one? And when you look at things defensively, like some of the biggest additions that Hervey's brought in, actually really haven't done that much. Yeah. You know, they really haven't said that D-line hasn't fully had, you know, stepped up the way that we thought. So I don't, and I think the hill that they have to climb is just too great. You know, BC is picking up the wins. BC has a very light schedule through the second half of the season, a lot of Eastern games. So they're going to pick up wins, take Saskatchewan, Calgary out of this. Can they catch Winnipeg? That's the big question. Winnipeg's got a nice little cushion right now. So, you know, that's the thing where, you know, if they catch Winnipeg, okay, now have Toronto or Ottawa picked up enough wins to get there. So it's going to be tough hill to climb. As of today, I'm not confident that they're going to get to that level, to the position of playoffs. But if they could get a split against Calgary,
yeah,
you know, if they beat Ottawa and they split Calgary, then maybe I have a different answer at that point. But right now, I'm just worried about that a sweep of Labor Day. But if you could go beat Calgary, now at that point, you have the confidence that you could go beat anyone, because you could also prove that you can go beat anyone.
Yeah. Well, and I think we've identified on this show a couple of weeks ago, it's going to come down to Ottawa and Toronto. We're at this point, we're fighting for crossover. If we manage, we still have to pass one team at least to make it over to a crossover, right? So it's like, who are you going to beat out? Is it Winnipeg? Because the Stamps are looking good, but they are going through some injury issues. Winnipeg, they can go either way. They're a bit more of a wild card this year. So it's their bed to make at this point, and then they got to lay in it. You obviously wasted this front end of the schedule. Depends how hard and how strong they can finish this back end of the schedule. And I mean, that's the frustrating part, I think, as fans, is having to go through this process once again. It's another year of a partial rebuild, and fans are frustrated about it. I mean, we will talk more about it later on. We'll do all the controversial stuff when you're off there, even though you're really good for the controversial stuff, Matt.
We won't put you in that position.
Okay, so apparently there's a reboot. No, I'm just kidding. No, man. You guys do fantastic work with the pre and post game show. I do want to put that up, and then we are going to take a fan question. But pre and post, you and Jay, man, it's become a little bit of a ritual for us. I'm always trying to tune in whenever I can, right after the game. Like, we unload this stuff, and as I'm unloading my stuff from my truck, I'm listening to you guys on the pre and post. So, man, how has that experience been like?
It's great. Jay has been fantastic to work with. I've worked with Dusty. I've worked with Hernan. I worked with Eric. I worked with a gentleman named Jeff Walker. So I've worked with a few hosts on that one. But Jay has been awesome to have between last year and this year. We have a lot of fun time. We enjoy watching the game together. I think we have a lot of fun on air. We have a lot of debates between the two of us as well. Like, we're not afraid to challenge each other and go up against each other. And you know, and that's the beauty about Jay too, is you could have tough debates with people, and sometimes that festers between two people. It doesn't fester between Jay and I. We could move on to the very next conversation, start laughing, or the moment the mics go off, we're great with each other. So we have those difficult debates sometimes, or there's the heated discussions, and it's what we do. I have my opinion, he has his opinion. We go at it, we move on to the next topic, we move on to the next discussion point. So it is all a lot of fun. We got a great listenership, great comments. Thank you for tuning in whenever you can. That we really appreciate. I love seeing you in the Nasty Chat when you can. And honestly, like this year, like when we first, like, I understand that the Elks still have to grow in the city of Edmonton, that they've lost that, you know, that stronghold of the city. You know, we do an Oilers pre-post, they got numbers. They get people watching. When we did it last year, I was like, we'll see how many people are, you know, going to tune in. And we had a fair amount of people. For some reason this year, it's a lot more. And I've kind of been blown away by just how much extra we've seen in terms of numbers of people watching, especially post-game shows. So that's been awesome to see. And it's, you know, just for me, I could talk CFL all day. I said this once on air, like, and Dusty was nearby and he ran in, like, maybe, you know, he said we should. I was like, if we cut the hangout in half, I could do an hour of CFL every day for 12 months. I will talk CFL all day, every day, all week. Don't matter whether it's regular season or off season. Let me talk some Canadian Football League. So the fact that I got to do pre and post for it, I'm so happy to do that.
And for fantasy, you are in the Dunya and the Cavis read as well?
No. I am the creator of the Dunya with my boys. They have created their own league off of everything that I have built. I have given them all of my spreadsheets. I have given them access to all of my stuff, and they have taken shots at my league, thinking that they are better. But I'm in a league that is now in its 10th season.
Yeah.
They are a league that you don't even have to play a quarterback if you don't want to. No. I'm not in any other league here. That's Dusty. Here's why that league's around. Dusty was mad that he couldn't join our league, so he created his own league. No, the Dunya is the only league that matters when it comes to CFL season-long fantasy. That said, more season-long fantasy is necessary. More leagues are necessary. CFL, get this figured out. I will talk to you whenever you need the info. But no. I am not part of the Cavis Reed one. Only the Dunya.
Matt is a Dunya only, no Kerfloat.
Nope.
No, boycott the Kerfloat as per Matthew Iwanyk. I love it. And I mean, getting back to the green and gold real quick, the one thing I do want to say is I would like to listen because you and Jay kind of like get into that two grumpy old men on the balcony, the Muppets, right? The two Muppets on the balcony. You guys got to get into that, and it gives me shades of like the old TSN 1260 with you, JMO, and Low Tide, right? But except like there was like them two, and then you've somehow picked up some of those characteristics, and you've brought it over to the green and gold post, pre and post. So you guys go back and forth. And you guys just shut each other down sometimes. Like, no, I don't agree with that. And it's so blunt, and it's a little bit refreshing because, you know, same deal with what we do in our green or gold segment. You know, you have to have differing opinions. You can't agree on it. No,
you just do it.
But it's good for radio, and it also does allow a different perspective on things. So sometimes, like, you know, I've heard on the pre and post as well. You guys are like, okay, yeah, I do. Maybe I do agree with that, right? Yeah, it's not like it's a complete argument every time, but having that differing opinion, you guys are fantastic at that. You guys go into your mini debates, you know, the many topics. I recommend, obviously, anybody that's listening right now, if you listen to us, you have to be listening to the green and gold pre and post over at Edmonton Sports Talk. I would like to take one fan question real quick, and then we will let you go, Matt.
Go for it.
Let's go up. I want to say it's probably one from John Kirby.
Is it the one on the Argos?
Might be. Let's see. Yeah, there we go.
Okay,
there we go. Yes, that is the one. Thank you. All right, so John Kirby does ask, thoughts on the Toronto Argonauts playing 3 games away from Toronto next year. Do you think they should have gone to smaller markets around Toronto?
Yeah, I don't. Look, the World Cup's coming. I get why the Argos and the Lions can't play where they're playing. That makes a lot of sense. And I'm glad the CFL is making announcements early on what's happening with this. It's a weird one to me because like they said BC is going to play 2 away games. They haven't announced where. I'd be shocked if they're not announcing Victoria. Like, I think they're going to come out and be like, we're moving the BC Lions to Victoria, just like the Touchdown Pacific. They'll just move it there. Season ticket holders could get there. I'm not stunned that they're moving the Argos to other cities because it's a chance for the Argos to make some easy money because, you know, the Ticats will take this opportunity to support their team, Bombers, Riders as well. I just look at it and go. There's got to be someplace closer to Toronto for one, your season ticket base to go support you, and 2, to stay as Toronto's team in this. You know, to play. I don't mind Hamilton also playing. Like I wouldn't have even mind if they just played all the games in Hamilton as that home team, because again, it's so close for Toronto to get there for your season ticket base. The problem I have with the Winnipeg and Saskatchewan, it's also like, okay, so they get a free home game. You know, they may not be getting the money out of it as a business, but from a football perspective, from a competitive standpoint, the Bombers and the Riders get a benefit here that the Elks, that the Stamps, that the Lions, that every other team does not get, and they get a 10th home game. Yeah. And that would be nice. I think, like, now does Edmonton, you'd like to see more fans right now with this team, but there will be a day that comes or whatever. But how much nicer would it be for the Edmonton Elks if they could sit at home for a week to play their quote unquote road game?
2015 Northern kickoff. Toronto was the home team up in my hometown of Fort McMurray. What up, Shell Place? And the Double E. That's, I think, the game where they lost the man, the myth, the legend,
Yes.
number 13, Michael Riley. Everybody take a drink. That is the gimmick on the show.
See, that's the thing. Every single time that Scout mentions Michael Riley,
but like, yeah, it's just so the Riders don't have to travel out east. Yeah. The Bombers don't have to travel as much. It's not as far, but don't have to travel out east. They get to sit at home, and it's not the Toronto part that I care about as much. Mm-hmm. It's okay. Well, the Bombers and the Riders get a little advantage, and that, I think, again, you could have done it in Hamilton maybe, and then the Hamilton game they'd have the advantage, but. When Winnipeg or Saskatchewan have to play in Toronto, well, actually, they still have to go to Hamilton. And they're, Luke Gazdick's from Toronto. He was on the Hangout today, and he says, like, there's a couple of nice stadiums that you can go to nearby, and it's not like Toronto has this massive season ticket base of 20,000 people you're trying to scram in. Like, you probably season ticket base is probably 7,000-8,000. You can't tell me there's not a 7,000-8,000 seat stadium somewhere near there that you could fill that out. So I'm disappointed that that's the route they're going with the Argos. But when they announced Victoria for the Lions, I love that route. And that's what they should have done with Toronto.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think that BC, it's weird because I think that BC, in a weird niche way, is actually better suited for this scenario with having Kamloops as their training camp facility, and then having Victoria as like an auxiliary facility. Plus, they're trying to make a little bit more connection over in Surrey, right? So they could probably try to do something in Surrey as well. So there's so many different little spots in BC, and with Amar Doman at the helm, he's creative, he's smart. He has to tap all of BC to get more people in the stadium, other than just for 50 Cent concerts and Snoop Dogg and all of these other acts. So, with Toronto, I think like they're at a little bit of a disadvantage in that sense where, like, yes, you do have the stadiums in the area, the U Sports Ontario. I know that you could get some good attendance there because you already have football fans in those areas. Is it going to be a sellout? I think that's a bigger question. But, as far as the outreach, I think Toronto Argonauts, they're kind of a little bit outreach there, but they could be doing a lot more. They do not do enough to tap that area of Ontario, whereas BC and even Saskatchewan, and of course the Double E with their hometown tours as well. A lot of these teams are really big on trying to do the outreach things, those little pieces that you're missing in Toronto and even Ontario.
Yeah.
I think that's a little bit of a thing. All right, Matt, we will not keep you any longer because we have got
good
for our 30 minutes here. I know that you could talk a lot of CFL, which is why I will probably see you again soon and we'll chat a little bit more Double E. But where can our fans, viewers, listeners find you online?
I'm on X, Twitter. I don't tweet though anymore, really. MATTHEW IWANYK is my Twitter handle. There's really nothing. I'm not on, like, I have an Instagram account. I never go on it, so you might see things of me somewhere. I have a TikTok account. I just search things. I don't actually do anything. So if you ever find me, you feel free to follow. There's nothing coming though. So apologies on that. Everything I have, EdmontonSportsTalk.com is our website. That's our YouTube channel. You can listen to us on TuneIn, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcasts. All of our shows are there. Green and Gold Kickoff post-game shows. It's an hour before, and we go after every Elks game. And then the Hangout, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. weekdays on EST. That's where you can find me. But yeah, Twitter, if anything. But again, I don't tweet too much. So apologies if you're going, well, what are you thinking? I don't have much to think these days. So.
Yeah, I think your controversial takes are missed, and I'm the fact that you have not been tweeting much. I think that also brings a little bit of attention. So I will be following you on the TikTok, eagerly awaiting some awkward TikTok dances or something along those lines.
The day that happens, I'm in trouble.
Oh no, man! Fantastic! Can't thank you enough for joining us tonight.
Of course.
It's always a great chat, Matt. Can't wait to see you again, man. And once again, congrats on all of the success with Edmonton Sports Talk, and of course, your new jams over there on 170th.
Of course. No, thank you very much for having me on. It's great talking with both of you, and yeah, we'll do this again hopefully sometime soon.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Great.
We'll
Thank
catch
you
soon.
so much. Have a good night.
Bye, everyone.
Like,
And that was Matthew Iwanyk from Edmonton Sports Talk. Green and gold pre and post over there at EST with Jay Milne. Matthew Iwanyk's always good stuff. We could talk forever.
Yep.
All right, without further ado, please welcome back to the show former center of the 0607 North Edmonton Red Wings, TSN sidelines reporter, and one of the four horsemen at EST. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Tom Gazzola.
Welcome back.
Well, thank you guys. What a beautiful introduction. Thank you, Scout. Thank you, Kat. I haven't had anyone introduce me as the centerman for the Edmonton Red Wings in years and years and years, or ever, actually. So thank you. Yeah, a couple good seasons there, but what an honor.
Love it. Man, thankful to have you here. Is this the busiest time of year for you?
It's insane. Like, it's nuts. So I'm guessing yes, probably. I mean, every day is it game day, non-game day? Do I have to get ready for a football broadcast? Do I have to travel? It's nowhere near as crazy as Dusty's schedule, but it has been nuts, especially with hockey kicking up. So yeah, the answer is yes.
Oh man, lots of travel, I bet. Lots and lots.
Yeah.
And
Lots of visits to Calgary. That's what it's been. I was down there last weekend for the Lions Stamps game, and I was talking to my brother who actually lives down there, and I'm like, I feel like I've been here 19 times in the last 2 months, and some of it was work, some of it was pleasure, but yeah, it's been hectic, but it's better than the contrary, that's for sure.
Nice.
definitely.
I mean, exactly. It's better to be busy than not. Yeah, and it seems like it's been a bit of a gong show for you, man. So
I mean, it would be better if it was in Calgary, but
exactly. Yeah, if you didn't. Well, and the QE2 sucks. That's the other problem.
It does. It really does. Yeah. Although, like, I've found some, now that I've had to go up and down the QE2 a lot this summer, I found some like soft times to sneak down, and like midweek, like last week I went down like Thursday afternoon and it wasn't too bad, but you catch it on a weekend, man, especially coming back with that bridge construction and our just like north of Nisku.
Yeah.
And it's awful.
And you never know when you're going to run into an accident.
That's true. Knock on wood. No accidents.
Nope, not around here.
Well, we're thankful you made it here to the Elks Call. Herd chat, let us know if you do have any questions or comments. Make sure you throw them in the herd chat, and we will try to get them onto the show.
Just like now, before we start, Steve Benassi saying that there are two words that don't belong in one sentence: pleasure and Calgary. So
That was a good one.
starting it strong.
Tom, last time we had you on the show, I'm not sure if EST was even a thing at that point, or at least fully formed and on air. But man, how's the first 2 years of EST been?
Awesome. I don't think we had even gone to air. Yeah, the last time I was on, and you know, a little bit at the beginning, a little bit of a learning curve for some to figure out what it was. You know, they would be like, okay, what is this? Is this a podcast? It's like, no, it's literally just what we had as a radio station, except you get it digitally. And obviously it took some time for people to adjust to like iHeartRadio and TuneIn Radio. And then, you know, YouTube, that was a new thing when we said, why don't we throw a camera in every studio that we have and find a way to put it on YouTube. And, you know, I think people now get it. Our YouTube numbers are pretty strong. I think last time talking to Iwanyk and getting some numbers from him, it's still stronger. And there's a big, significantly bigger audience on the listenership side. But there have been a lot of people that have caught on or learned about us via YouTube. So with the way the morning show is now simulcast on Cruise FM, it's just us kind of getting it out there on as many platforms as we possibly can. And you guys being a friend of EST as well, that local content too, I think has been a nice touch, as opposed to just simulcasting with like ESPN radio the way we did on 1260, where it really doesn't have any connection to the market. It's been good, but like there's been times where you have to teach people what it is. And, Reed always says people ask him where the hell he went. And he's like, well, I'm at a different station. It's called Edmonton Sports Talk. And so it just is a reminder that we got to keep hustling and that the work's not done. And we want to keep building this bad boy up. And it's been fun. It's been interesting and hopefully continued success and growth.
Yeah, what do you want to say?
No, I just think that it's super smart what you guys are doing, because you're not limiting yourselves to just one type of audience. You're reaching to the younger audience with adding things in YouTube and YouTube content, which is really interesting as well. But it doesn't hurt to broaden, the reach that you have, and that's where you're seeing your success. So I think very, very smart.
Yeah.
How about TikTok too? Like I've had to learn TikTok. I'm like, this is garbage. I hate this, but it's so important.
Dances? Are you doing the TikTok dances from the sidelines?
Never, ever. But I get it. Algorithm, SEOs, all that stuff. The kids, they go down. What do they call it? Doom scrolling, and they've got their brain rot, and so you got to find a way to tap into that stupidity.
Yeah.
For your page.
Oh.
That's right.
It's wild, but we're not there yet either. But talking about sidelines, we know that at TSN, you've taken on the elevated role of CFL sidelines reporting. So what has that experience been like?
Awesome. It's fun. It's challenging. It's different. It's been cool. Like I get to do, we were joking about Edmonton and Calgary and have to go down to Calgary to do those games. I was so excited for the Labor Day Classic, and it was everything I had hoped it would be. I mean, from an Elk standpoint, you wanted a better result, a more competitive game, and all of that, and that's totally understandable. But just the vibe and the hype and being in the stadium and being a part of the rivalry, just being the sidelines reporter, that was the ultimate this season for me. It was neat not covering an Elks game.
Yeah.
And that started, it was my first game of the year, Hamilton at Calgary, not having Dusty on the broadcast with me, because I had filled in for Ryan Rashog a few times before. But Shoggy's busy. Shoggy's one of TSN's main hockey guys. He's a great host, great reporter. And so that kind of got my feet wet with the CFL at TSN, but those were only Edmonton games, which was awesome. And then when they said, hey, you know what, there's an opportunity to get you into more, you're going to do some Calgary games if you're up for it, I said, absolutely. But I didn't have that big brother kind of thing to look up to when we did that first game. It was myself, Marshall Ferguson, and Dwayne Ford. I had never worked with Marsh or Fordy. I was there on my own. I had to, now I'm dealing with the travel director for TSN. And it's like, oh yeah, this is how it was when I was with the Oilers too. You had to set stuff up and take care of yourself and have your itinerary. And it's like the first time Ron Burgundy was not on set. It was like, you're not Ron. And that's how I felt. But luckily, the entire crew is awesome. Marsh is awesome. He's a great new CFL at TSN play-by-play voice. He's only come on the last few years. Obviously a wealth of knowledge, having played in the Vanier Cup as a quarterback. He knows what he's talking about. And then he also is a great play-by-play guy. And then Dwayne Ford is that guy's an encyclopedia when it comes to Canadian football, not just the CFL. And great person too. And then, the panel, I didn't know if they actually knew me. When they were here at Edmonton, I went and introduced myself to them, and they were in the northwest corner. They were set up there, and I'm like, hey, Kate, I'm Tom. She's like, come here, give me a hug. I'm like, really? We've never really met, to be honest with you. And she's like, shut up. great to be here and nice to like
brought you in like family, eh?
Yeah, Enoch the same thing, Milt the same thing, and Rod Smith. I think I actually said, Rod, thanks for letting me work with you, man. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, dude, you're a legend. Like, I've watched you since I was a kid on TSN, and when it was called Sports Desk, and they had the old scoreboard logo, and then our producers have been great, and the directors, and it's awesome. I love it. Like, I hope I get to do it for a very long time. I'm thankful I get to do it. Some days I sit there, I'm like, well, if this is going to be like my last game, make it a good one. Just do a good job. And thankfully it feels like it might be the start of something good. And I hope it is.
Dream gig. Awesome. That sounds like a dream gig. Right? Yeah.
And the players want to talk to you too. That's the other thing. I mean, at halftime and after a loss, not so much, but it's a different vibe than hockey. I'll say that, and in a good way, and it's refreshing. And it doesn't mean I don't like dealing with hockey players and coaches day to day, because I do, but it's nice change of pace.
Oh, it's totally understandable. I've seen a little bit of that, and it looks like, like just the fact that you don't have any barriers between you and the players. Like, the players can technically crash right into you, right?
Oh yeah.
The playing field and the media areas are all in the same, whereas, with hockey, down by the dressing room and other areas within the catacombs of, say, Rogers Place, right? And that would be amazing. What I think was the best part of all of that was the EST Labor Day bus. To see EST and the Edmonton Elks kind of come together, and it all came together on TSN. That was wild. So, to give everybody the full rundown, I'm sure people know if you listen to the show, but you were at the Labor Day Classic, like you just said, at McMahon Stadium this year. And the most recent edition was featuring the EST Labor Day bus that saw two buses, voice crack, full of Elks fans offload in Calgary for tailgating and good times. Do you think this was successful from an EST standpoint?
100% yes. It sounds like, from our standpoint at EST, 100% yes. I say that with full certainty. We did a little debrief. I had my chats with Maddie and everybody that was on it. Some of the people that took part. I know Scout and Kat, you guys were there. Like, I saw Scout take. Did you grab the tent or did you grab the cooler? And you were walking with like conviction.
So Kathy had FOMO. I know Kathy had FOMO because
that wasn't there. Okay,
she saw.
But I said unfortunately. Yeah, I had serious FOMO for sure.
Okay.
But I did have the tent in the reel. She saw me in the reel, and I'm holding the tent. The tent
all business.
All business, and it was red and black. It looked like a freaking body bag, a Stampeders body bag, and I was like, "This is awesome." I didn't even realize until I saw the reel, but Dave McKinnon. There's so many legends out of that one day, between the bus rides, the prizes. I mean, the supersized Indiana Jones, Dave McKinnon, Section T dropping brisket in the middle of like McMahon, or outside of McMahon Stadium, right in the middle of their parking lot, and then the Zach, Dusty, and Dwayne Ford exchange, like, Zach asking for a hug, Dusty says no, and then Dwayne Ford, why didn't you hug that guy? It was just like, and I heard you on the Hangout the next day talking about that, and yeah, you were saying that Dwayne Ford has one heck of a sense of humor.
He is a razor sharp, funny man, and it's funny too how it culminated on the broadcast with two guys from EST on the broadcast. 40 getting to his introduction to supersized Indiana Jones, asking why Dusty didn't hug Zach to come, and like Dusty coming clean, being like, "Listen, we did a bus with our company, and we know that guy's one of our producers, and he's annoying sometimes." And I'm sitting there like laughing my ass off because I've got my headset, like my little earbuds that I wear in, and I'm just laughing, and people in silence are, what are you laughing at? Like, nothing funny was happening, but I'm listening to the broadcast because the game was pretty much in hand for the Stamps, and they're showing shots of everybody in the crowd. They're showing everybody from the bus. They played that video of Dusty and I greeting you guys when you were coming off, but it was mostly Dusty. Let's not kid ourselves, but I was there, and yeah, like, it was just like all these worlds colliding. And then the pre and post game show was at Brewhouse University not far from the stadium, and Jamieson and Matt Iwanyk were set up there. Dusty and I went and hopped on the post-game show, and we wanted to have a post-game beer and a bite to eat too. And I remember rolling in, and I got there just a little bit before Dusty, and there's like a group of Stamps fans, like younger guys, probably university age, and they're like looking at me. They're watching the show. They're like, "Who the hell are these guys?" And then I see them passing around a picture of Shinetti. And they're like, "Is that Shinetti?" And I'm like, "No, wrong Italian. Sorry." Like, no, not Shinetti. And then they saw Dusty roll in. I think they kind of started putting 2 and 2 together, but it was fun. And it was just, again, too bad the result wasn't good. But talking to the Elks, they seem to really like what we saw, and we're happy and encouraged by it. And the fact that there was a waiting list, I think this is going to be happening again, and I am assuming there's a potential for it to be 3 buses next year, or potentially more. But it was just good to see, and I know they stuck you guys in the corner there in the sun. Didn't make it easy for their Edmonton friends, but you guys, like a bunch of good, hardy Edmontonians, made it work.
It was truly one of the most fun times of my life. I stood the whole time talking to like Hernan and Andy, who's in the herd chat, Jason, Brent, no, Corey Butt.
Corey B.
Corey B.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, it was just like, it was a bunch of nasties. It was a bunch of fun. It was one of the most wild things ever. And on the way home, it was all sing along. So, it wasn't a sad bus ride home, because, I mean, that was part of the billing was, if the Edmonton Elks lose today, it's going to be a sad bus ride home for these people.
Yeah.
It wasn't really, like, I mean, we just sobered up and then went home.
Yeah. Well, and the really cool thing is that, sure, I mean, this started as a nasty thing. A whole bunch of the nasties went, but I think the really cool thing is that everybody saw how fun it was, and now you have a lot more interest from fans. And 3 to 4 buses. I fully expect that next year for sure. So
I hope so. Yeah, good vibe, and win or lose, that people still booze.
Yeah,
win or lose, the fan buses win, baby.
That's right.
Losses, though.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Even though this year started off with losses, the Edmonton Elks have shown promise under what some consider another rebuild year. So what are your thoughts on this year's team?
I think calling it a rebuild year again is fine. It really is. Patience is a hard word for Elks fans to swallow and to deal with again. But honestly, they've changed so much in the offseason. How can we not call it a rebuild? I mean, you have all new coaches, you have a new GM, you have a new president, you have a new owner or a new ownership group. I know you guys talked about Larry, absolutely devastating. But in terms of the team, it's a new team. Like, there's so many new faces, so many new things, a new message. That and all the players that came in too. What did they have? Like 26 openings by free agency, and Ed Hervey and Chris Morris went to work and brought in a ton of new guys, spent a lot of money to bring in talented big name players. And some of those guys have been great. Some of them, it hasn't necessarily worked out, and that's part of the process. But it does feel like there's some legitimacy to where this thing is going now, where in years past, Chris Jones had a tough task. We point the finger at Chris Jones because of how poorly things went. But when you think about the situation he was put in, where they were strapped for cash, the kitty was empty. They had the disaster of not getting to play in the COVID season. They had Scott Milanovic as the head coach, and he didn't even coach a single game. And there were so many, the Victor Cui era, and then not Pat LaForge. Who came in?
Rick Lawlisher.
Rick came in. Rick Lawlisher had to kind of, be the guy that was the fence, or mending the fence, or building the bridge between the old and the new kind of thing, and bring in the new generation. So, so much new stuff that, it's a rebuild, but I think you can legitimately see that they're starting to put the legitimate building blocks in place for there to be a competitive team going forward not just for a couple of years, but for the foreseeable future. And hopefully that does happen, because it's sad to see, or it has been sad to watch this franchise become just one of the bottom dwellers.
Yeah, it's kind of tough still, even, being a fan since 2013, right? We are starting to see some progress. We are starting to see, close to 30K. I know I screwed up in the description today, especially on X, where I can't edit it, but close to 30K. So, they had 20,000 last year for the Labor Day. Last game. Last year they had 32K. This year they had 28K for the Labor Day rematch. And then now for this game coming up against Saskatchewan, apparently they are closing in on that 30K mark. So close to 30K. And I know this is going to be a tough question today. I had already had this one kind of mapped out here. So, what are the odds? But Larry Thompson, as we know, as we've already spoken on this show about it, he did pass today. As you know, Tom Gazzola, you guys are talking about it over at Edmonton Sports Talk. Everybody go check out that coverage as well. But, how would you grade Larry Thompson's tenure as owner?
Yeah, incomplete, obviously, but I think he's a big reason why there seems to be things going in the right direction. I mean, he himself, I was very happy to see somebody that's a homegrown success story that genuinely cared about the franchise with deep pockets take on the burden of fixing this thing. And he said it in his first press conference. I remember being there at Commonwealth Stadium, and he pointed across the field he's like, my season tickets are right there. That's where I've been sitting for decades. And talking to staff when they were getting to know Larry, they said, this guy's a hardcore Eskimos and Elks fan. Like, he's been there and he said it since 72. When he was 12 years old, he went to his first game and he fell in love. And obviously there were good times ahead for the team and any fan, but he breathed a lot of finances and, quite frankly, new life into a franchise that was kind of on death's door. Unfortunate, for a lack of a better term. The franchise was not well. It was not well at all. It was ill, and he brought it back to life, and he put the right people in place. And I think for the time he was the owner and with us, I think you would have to put all check marks beside all the boxes that needed, tasks that needed to be completed. And the rest is up to the people he put in place to make sure the job gets done. And that's becoming a contender and a Grey Cup winner again. So in his short time as owner before his passing, I think he did a great job. And I'm encouraged to hear that his wife, Deb, and the family, it looks like they're going to carry on and probably try to fulfill his desire to bring this team to the top. And I feel like that if she needs guidance, help, they have a ton of people within the community that would be willing to help make sure that this sports franchise is being run properly. I think Chris Morris is going to be leaned on a ton. Same with Ed Hervey. If the league needs to provide anything, I feel like it probably will. So there is still that glimmer of hope. I don't think that has been snuffed out. It brings up questions, obviously, but it does sound like the intent is to continue on and to fulfill what Larry Thompson wanted to see happen. And that part I like, and it's super sad, man. Like, honestly, this is a very sad day in the Edmonton sports community. And I think just, you lose a pillar in the community on the business side as well. And it sucks. It was heartbreaking to see. And, I'm sure they're gonna honor him properly and do a great job on Saturday.
Yeah, we were already speculating. If there's one thing we're going to speculate on right now in regards to that, it's what are they going to do on Saturday to celebrate Larry Thompson? Yeah, it's as Len said earlier in the show in the herd chat. It's going to be a sad moment of silence, and then everything for the rest of this season and onward for Larry Thompson. And Deb, like you said, right? Deb is going to be taking over the reins from what it sounds like here, and there's full faith. I mean, I think from our end of things, I think from the media as well, like you've just spoke on. Deb Thompson has been by Larry's side throughout all of this, and really she's like a 50% in all says and matters. So I think that Larry's legacy will be carried on really well.
Definitely. And I think one of the most special things about it is just bringing up a comment that Steve Benassi here has in the chat, is that people have hope.
Yeah.
Now, after a long dark period, Larry brought hope to the franchise, to the team, to Edmonton, to fans that have been around for a long time. And I think that that's very, very special and won't be forgotten for sure. So
yeah, I was just gonna say there's legitimacy to what has been done, and it started with him taking over as owner, and if it has brought hope back, perfect, because that's where it needs to start.
Yeah, and I mean that's equating in bigger attendances. I think that Larry Thompson definitely had
for
a little bit of an impact on the increased attendances.
Well, it's like you say, Tom, all the he put the parts and the pieces together, and now it's just a matter of letting it run its course and really making it work. And slowly but surely, we have seen that with this team. Slowly but surely, we're seeing a team that is a lot more cohesive, and it's making the right plays at the right time. Maybe not at the right time sometimes, but
How about in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, there it is.
Maybe until the fourth quarter. But at the end, we were starting to see an uptick in attendances. We're starting to see, games that are enjoyable to watch. We're starting to see competitive games, and we're starting to see some really good cohesion within the team. And tied to that, what do you contribute to the success? Obviously, beyond pockets.
yeah. Hey, the deep pockets can't be overlooked, because I think a lot of talk about the changes to the CFL this week and the big rule adjustment and shift that's going to be implemented in phases in the next 2 years. You have owners now in the CFL. In my lifetime, our lifetimes, I'm pretty sure these are the deepest pockets and just amount of money that these owners have, and they're movers and shakers in the business world, and they genuinely care about these franchises. So that's why I think the league and Stuart Johnston went bold with these decisions to try to clean up some of the silliness, as I like to call it, in the game. It's not everyone's going to love it, I know, and there might have to be things that get changed, or some of the initial plans might have to get tweaked. We'll see, right? We have to let this see. But there's 3 downs, there's a yard off the ball, there's a waggle, there's a wide field, there's Canadian, you got the ratio in there. This is still the CFL. It's just, you're not going to have a safety hazard in the end zone anymore. The shorter field, I don't understand. The shorter end zones, I do get and actually like. But yeah, it's now witnessing that play out. And then when it comes to the team here, you've got a good head coach that's learning. You got a defensive coordinator, first time on the job. You brought back Jordan McSimic, who's he's competent as an OC. And I know we question his play calling on offense, but there are players that are talented that are here that are now working to build something. They're not just hired guns, mercenaries for a year, getting a big payday, going out there saying, I did my job. No, there's this moving in lockstep as one. I think we're starting to see that. Now, it hasn't been perfect. The start was not good. The stumbling and bumbling the last couple of games, not good. But to go out there and beat the wheels off Calgary in the Labor Day rematch was great. To put together a little winning streak mid-season was great. Unfortunately, we saw the demise of Trey Ford. I don't know if that's the end of Trey Ford in Edmonton. I don't know what it means for him going forward, but you've got Cody Fajardo that the guys seem to like to play for. You've got Justin Rankin, who is a bona fide superstar in this league. That's with certainty. We could say that. You got a good complementary piece in Javon Leake. I think the receivers are going to be a work in progress on this team. And then the defense is starting to find itself as well. So, yeah, you're seeing little bits of it where it's coming together, and they've lost the last 2 on last second field goals. They could have won those games, especially the Toronto one. They could have beat Hamilton if Keon Julian Grant made that catch late and dropped it. They almost had the comeback against Sask. Like, they are right there. And talking to the players today, getting ready for Saturday's game, they feel like they just need to learn how to make plays at big moments late in games, and they haven't done that yet. They've had some harsh lessons. So it feels like it's there's strides that are being made there, and we'll get there when we get there soon enough, hopefully.
Yeah, and it's you know, I don't think it's necessarily the case of, you know, last year or the year before with, you know, Taylor Cornelius don't know how to win, you know, can't hate losing enough. Same deal with, you know, MBT in that whole scenario, which was, you know, an even bigger mess because you had a quarterback controversy on top of it. So you don't think it's, you know, one of those scenarios. You think this is true progress.
Yeah, and there's going to be trial and error, right? Like, you think that you bring in somebody or bestow an opportunity on them. I'll use Ford as an example, and you think that this is going to be the guy going forward. Who knows? Maybe that's still the case, but things could change, and time will tell. But yeah, there seems to be a desire for the guys that are playing for this team to want to build something and to be a part of the community and to make the green and gold prominent again. And that's kind of something you didn't hear a ton of before. And when you would kind of question, like, I don't know, like, this guy just got brought in for a few $100,000. Does he really give a crap what's going on in the community? Like, that's why I called them mercenaries and hired guns. And, you know, that bringing in MBT, although, you know, he played nice, he was okay to talk to. You gave the guy $500,000 and he kind of lost his job. And then when he didn't get to go out and play, he would pretend to be hurt, like he was in Montreal recently, or you would, you know, be suspicious that maybe he's not as nicked up as he might really be. That's not good. Like, that's not good. So I think those types of scenarios have kind of weeded themselves out a little bit.
Yeah.
What I like to say is that, listen, I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
You know, I still think that we can win some games going forward. But what I like to see is the new season starting with what we have right now.
Yeah.
Like, that would be great, because you know that you're starting in a really good spot, that they have some chemistry, they have a really good starting point, and they can work towards winning.
Yep. Yeah. And that's how you build a consistently good team. That's how you open up you know how we use the term, the window is open. Like, that's how you get to that point, is the consistency, the faith in one another, good veterans teaching good up and coming rookies what it's like to do things the right way, be true pros, and eventually become champions. So I'm 100% in agreement with you, Kat, on that one.
Now, I know you did speak a little bit on the rule changes. It is the elephant in the room right now. I'm sure that we have listeners and viewers wanting a little bit more on that. So I know that you said that you didn't really mind them, didn't have any major issues with them. Don't worry, we're not going to pin you here on the show. We're not going to skunk you.
Bring it on.
What do you hate about it? No, just kidding.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Rouges, hate them. Discover the 10 reasons why. No, let's say with the Rouge rule, because I know that there is, you know, this. Yeah, let's talk about Americanization. Let's talk that word, because that has been a word that's been floating around now on social media, X, everywhere, media, mainstream media. Do you agree with the argument that these rule changes are Americanizing the game a bit?
I can't deny them. So I guess I agree, but I don't think it's with the intent of becoming the American 4-down game, even smaller field and taking out the waggle. I don't think that's the case. I honestly think that some of these changes were long overdue. And I know a lot of people, I would bring it up on EST on 1260, and I get the traditionalists that would be like, you're an idiot. And that's fine. Like, I'm just telling you what I think would look good for this game and benefit it. I would never, ever want to take away 3 downs. I would never, ever want to take away motion in the backfield. I would never, ever want to take, like, yard off the ball. Like, that's Canadianity, man. Like, it's still a wide field. And that apparently, like, it sounds like, and Stuart Johnson came on our station yesterday, and he made it abundantly clear. Like when he answered, "I never want to say never," that raised alarm bells for people. But I think I know what he's trying to do in the moment. He's trying to be like the civil, diligent commissioner when all the spotlight and attention is on him after making a huge announcement. But he said that never have they once discussed changing to four downs, and his intent is for this to be Canadian football. So the Rouge, to me, I when I became old enough to like really look at it and compare it to other football, I'm like, why are we doing this? And I understand excitement in the kicking game and making sure special teams are very important in the game. And this kind of diminishes that. But really, I'm not going to say like which player said this, but they've been in the league for a while and they just said, listen, man, the Rouge was a laughing stock. Like you'd get shredded if a Grey Cup was determined on a Rouge. It's embarrassing. And I'm not going to say their name or who they are, but it was someone that's a prominent player in the league that's been in the league for a long time and has seen the craziness of the Rouge. And that's true. And I feel the same way. I saw 2 games. I witnessed and covered one that was ended on a punt single for the win, thanks to Jake Julian. I'm like, okay, well, now I've seen it. When Liram Hiralahu is missing a field goal with no time left on the clock and celebrating like he did something good, it's kind of silly. So they've amended that. You're penalizing a team for not taking the ball out of the end zone if you trap them in there. So I'm cool with that. I like it. So I understand we love rugby and the traditional Canadian Football League rules, but that's one where I'm like, it's time to evolve. And so I'm one for the change in the Rouge.
Yeah, it's I will say at least I've gotten to see one, that Jake Julian game, despite there being like 3,000 people or 2,000 people in the stands that night.
Yeah.
I mean, it was one of the sickest endings, but also because you don't see it often. And I mean, they literally tried to get Jake Julian to boot it as far as possible because they were too far away for the field goal for sure. So, I mean, in that scenario, like it was cool. It was gimmicky. It always goes viral, but at the same time, it's because it's a little bit corny, right? So really appreciate your opinion on that one, Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that there's a lot of opinions. There's a lot of like you say, traditionalists. There's a lot of people that are a little bit more open-minded with change, especially with the way that the league has been going and the fact that they're not making money and it requires, like Stuart says, innovation, not necessarily tradition. So, I mean, we'll see. It's really hard to go and figure out, just kind of stand in a neutral standpoint. Yeah. It's very hard, but a lot of this is we'll see how it pans out.
But people care about it, and that's why they're talking about it, and I think that's good. No publicity is bad publicity, that cliche too. But guys, there was literally posts in the end zones and still is. Like, that's not safe. And the NFL used to have goalposts at the front of the end zone. They moved them in like the 60s.
Yes, 50 years ago.
Yeah, we'll just leave them. Well, you know what? They have a smaller field. Ours is big enough. They can work around it. Like Cody Fajardo will never be able to live down the 2019 West Final. Like, it's like you hit the goalpost. It's a dead ball. Why is the goalpost there? Oh yeah, you guys just didn't change it. Now they're changing it, and then that'll open up the middle of the end zone. And I'll just say this, like I always thought that the end zones were too deep. I thought it was silly how deep the end zones were, and now that there's a good middle ground in the 15-yard end zones, I like it. And I really do think at the end of the day, people will watch and be like, you know what, this is all right. They'll forget by week 4 that there were goalposts at the front of the end zone for years and years and years when they do eventually make that change. And it was time to grow up a little bit and get the silliness out. And I think the CFL is doing that. And I'm happy to see that. And we'll see if it stays. Like, you could always change stuff back.
Yeah, very true. But okay, one last question before we let you go. How does it feel not to be the one leaking the Oilers jersey for a change?
Well, I'll tell you guys the story. I saw the Oilers' third uniform in like February or March. It was shown to me because I leaked it. the last couple, working, and my friends still work for the team, and they were just like, can you please not ruin this one? And I felt bad, and I was like, yes, I'll play nice. I'll help you tease it. So I did. I would talk about what to expect with it, without giving everything away. And I'm happy I did, because after I talked to them, after it got leaked by someone else, I found out that there was a lot of disappointment, and all the people that worked their asses off to keep it tight and to not have word get out or an image get out were really beat up about that. And so I felt bad, and I'm glad I wasn't the one that did it, and I stayed true to my word. But I did give a lot of hints. Like I said what it would look like. I said it was something you've never seen before. I told people the colors. So it was good. I'm happy to play nice with them, and I have a good relationship with the Oilers, because I worked there for a long time, and a lot of good people that I respect quite a bit still work there. And so I kind of just, I worked with them, and I said, okay. And so when other people like leak things or put it out there, I was like, well, really, I've been talking about it for a long time, but sure. Give credit.
But it wasn't me.
It
wasn't me. And when I heard how upset everybody was over there, because of how hard they try to keep it under wraps, I sincerely felt happy that I didn't do it.
Yeah, from what I understand, it was very devastating, and people don't even really like to talk about it. So it's, I mean, leaks happen. It's one of those weird things where if there's a New Jersey, somebody somewhere is trying to leak that sucker.
Yeah. Hey, I had heard that there were people like around EA Sports that were really chatty about because they get to see all the new uniforms, and they know ahead of time so they can program them into the new game. I heard that there were some very eager people over there that might spill the beans, and then there's obviously Jersey people that hear tidbits here and there, and like retailers and stuff like that. So I'm just glad they would ask me, and I would tell people, I'd give them the information I had. I would describe things, but publicly I kind of kept it under wraps too.
No,
good man. Good man.
What do you think, though? Do you like it?
I do like it. It's different. I'm glad they're not rehashing some old Oilers jersey from the past. I'm glad they're not going back to the late 90s, early 2000s look. I'm glad they're trying something new, and that's good. It might not be for everybody, but at least it's different. I think it'll sell a ton, and I think if the Oilers win games in that third jersey, then people will like it even more.
Yeah, and Andy actually here in the herd chat it does say also like the New Jersey, seeing it in person. So it is one of those jerseys.
Yeah, I think it will sell. It is very, very different. And I think we're so tired of seeing the exact same design over and over that even something new is like, okay, well, now I need that. I need to complete my collection. So
I've had a few like ladies say that they really like the look, and they think they think women will really take to the look just because it's like cleaner. It's got the word mark, and it has that vintage kind of vibe to it. And I was like, I never thought of that. I just think Oiler fans are nuts. They're going to buy anything that has Oilers on it.
Very true. I would never buy white.
Yeah,
that's
the thing.
Never ever. I have kids, but I'm just messy.
There's something about a nice white jersey, though. Like there's something about it, like Winnipeg with their whiteout stuff. With that classy word mark Jets. I think with their blue jerseys, there's something about white, something about word mark, and then you combine the two. That jersey does look sweet. I did see it at the team store. Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Tommy, we're not going to take any more of your time, man. You've already been here on an extended time, so we can't thank you enough. We do got to ask, where can our viewers find you online?
At Tom Gazzola on X, underscore after Gazzola on Instagram, because some jackass took Tom Gazzola. So I had to throw an underscore at the end of it. And then I'm on TikTok now, and I think that's just Tom Gazzola as well. So yeah, just follow me there. Follow us at EST. Subscribe on YouTube. If you need to kill time or you need some background noise, we're there for you during the day. So always appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. Scout and Cap, because this is fun to do. It's nice to talk about the team, and we've got a couple of SD winners there, so I love that.
No,
for being your besties. Yeah,
it's the best. It's the bestie SD. I got so excited. The bestie SD. Yeah, no, you guys are fantastic. This was fantastic. This chat. The SDs are great. What you guys have going on over at Edmonton Sports Talk. You know, there needs to be a massive round of applause for that, because Oil Stream on EST, Hello Hockey, Oilers pre and post, and that's just your envelope alone, right? So,
Yes.
and then of course you're on Hangout. You're you feature in on any show at any given time. I'm pretty sure you even show up on the Lock Shop sometimes.
but we're
Yeah.
saying we're honored that you made some time for us.
Happy to. It was either that or watch the Cardinals lose, which I still managed to do. I have it on in my office here, and of course, just like the Elks, they lose right at the last second on a field goal.
It's the Cardinals, which is apparently Canada's snowbird team. So
I've got the Elks, I got the Cardinals. Yeah.
And you have disappointment. Yeah, I see what you're doing here. I see the parallels, Tom. Yeah, man. No, this was fantastic. Once again, for the third time, can't thank you enough, man. And I'm sure we'll see you again soon, Tom.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks a lot. Have an
Have a
awesome
good
night, man. And that was Tom Gazzola from Edmonton Sports Talk. A fantastic convo. Like always, he's always good stuff. I liked his insight in on the new rules, because yes, we are going to talk about,
Of course we are.
the CFL rule changes here in the
In
fan forum.
depth.
And that was another best of episode of the Elks Call Season 3. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the like, subscribe, and favorite buttons, as that's how you show your support around here. This episode was brought to you by RoyalRetros.com. Save 10% off by using code ShotgunSports. All caps, no spaces. They are the throwback kings. We love Royal Retros. We know you will too. Once again, my name is Scout Attic, aka the rep from Section X. Thanks again for joining us. Cheers, everybody. And that was another best of episode of the Elks Call Season 3. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the like and subscribe buttons, as that's how you show your support around here. This episode was brought to you by RoyalRetros.com. Save 10% off your order by using code ShotgunSports. All caps, no spaces. They are the throwback kings. We love Royal Retros, and we know you will too. Once again, my name is Scout Attic, aka the rep from Section X. Thanks again for joining us, everybody. Cheers.